And we're live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PM in the PM episode. Lucky number 13 tonight. And boy, oh boy, another week and more news flying. But this week for once, Mav, we get to talk Sony, like almost exclusively. On this show. Xbox has been obviously dominating for so long at this point. It was nice to have a little change. And man, did Sony do some things that we kind of knew they'd do? And then one big one that we probably never would have guessed, right? So this is a great week. Welcome, everybody. Pong and Mav in the PM is back again. Chat, thank you all for being here. Sorry for the late start. That is on me. When you work almost an hour away, it's not your
fault. I mean,
it's not my fault, but when you work an hour away from home, almost, sometimes there's a great chance that something's going to happen on the road and you're going to be stuck. So that's what happened to me tonight. But thank you all for being here anyways. Appreciate you. Love you. But Mav, before we get down to business, and we got to talk about one of the topics. Hey, listen to this. I'll give you guys a quick teaser. One of the topics we are going to talk about, which you probably already know, but maybe you didn't know, Sony is going to planning on having at least, 10, Mav? Is that right? 10?
10 live service games by 2026.
10, no, not live service games. Love service games.
Okay.
Love service games. Yes. This is what Mav DM'd me today. If for anybody out there in the audience who have not had the pleasure of Mav's wonderful typing ability in the DMs. Let me tell you, it's special. He sends me today in the DM, hey, we got to talk about the PlayStation love services. I'm like, love services? I'm like, whoa, I did not hear about this, but they might be on to something. There's a lot of lonely Sony gamers out there. They might have a big money winner with a love service. So maybe they'll go that route anyways, but no, we will be talking about the live service for sure. Mav, what's your week been like, brother? What have you been up to? What you been playing? Because actually, this week is like the first time. I don't think did we play Extraction this week at all? Did we play Monday?
I might have played Monday. I don't even remember, man. I don't remember what I did yesterday, dude. Like, you asked me questions about anything that besides now and the future, I'm lost. You know, but no, seriously, I've been playing Rainbow. I've been playing we played a little bit of Halo last night as well. I'm still hooked on Rainbow right now. It's my favorite game right now, currently, that I'm playing. Just kind of addicted to getting all the challenges done and the difficulty curve. Like, you know, you could be cruising, doing well, then they throw something at you. You know, it keeps you on your toes. I'm just really digging that game, dude. So I've been having a blast with that, and man, Halo's still great. You know, the 10 Rye event's back, so we started playing some of that last night to try and get some of the levels up to get some of the armor pieces for the samurai stuff. And other than that, man, we've just been working and hanging around the house. We're frozen in right now. We can't leave today or tomorrow. There's no way.
What saying.
Yep. So that's the thing. You know, we're not going anywhere. Kate, we prepared really well, and she got us everything we need to where we can kind of be stuck in the house. So we're not going to be starving for 2 days or anything. I got cookies and snacks and food and lunch and dinner and all this stuff. So I'm okay. But I am excited about the game that comes out today as well, Pong. Dying Light 2. So
I mentioned to do that. So we're just gonna do the topic headers, and then we're gonna head on out. So we're just gonna end the show quick tonight. So we go play some Dying Light 2. No, Bab and I are gonna talk. But I am looking forward to Dying Light 2. Yeah, this week's been crazy for me. Wife was out of town on business, so my whole schedule changed completely because I had to get home for the dogs. So it was a crazy week this week for me. But I hopped back into Cyberpunk. So that's what I did this week, and that's mainly what I've been trying. I did play a little bit of a brand new game that just popped onto Game Pass called Dreamscaper.
I saw somebody post about that.
Yeah, shout out to Flame over at Iron Lords. He does great writing over there. He knows the developers. So he's been promoting this. He told he told me about this a while back and said, "Hey, keep your eyes out for Dreamscaper." So I popped it on. Excellent game. Look, there's some looting to it. I haven't quite figured out if it's like a roguelike yet. But you kind of go through these levels. You've got your basics, you've got your weapons, you got your bow, you got your sword, but then you're also looting with special abilities. You fight bosses, but it's set up in a grid pattern each area, and you kind of move from one area to the next, like in like a grid. So each square is a new area that you walk into. Some of them will have enemies, some of them will just have things to discover. And then there's a boss. And so I went through and played and beat the first boss. Awesome game. So go check out Dreamscaper on Game Pass. Well worth your time for a download to see if you like it. Really high quality. I was very, very impressed. Again, not knowing anything about it. Yeah. So that was cool.
I'll give it a shot. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely something you would like, Mav. Otherwise, yeah, Cyberpunk's got me again. So that's where we're at. Back into it. All that news coming out about possibly the hints that the next gen patch is coming or whatever else. I'm back into it, man. It says, now again, I'm going to freely admit that this is not real. If you take away my photo time and you take away my just driving around the city, listening to music, taking in the sights time. However, it does say that I'm at about 210 hours now in Cyberpunk, and I still have not beat the ending. So that's what I'm doing, having a blast in that. It's playing fantastic, taking lots of pictures. I actually got to post some more modeling shots I did of some NPCs because that's what I do. I like it. Anyways, so that was my week. But Mav, gotta get down to business. We got any super chats we got to cover or anything?
No, right now, no, not right yet. But want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Hello, everybody. Got OCDgamer in there, Papa Woody. Retro Nerd, Nix, Alvin, Big Mad Mo, Outbreak, who Outbreak podcast, shout out to him. Had the opportunity to do an interview with him, and I believe it's airing on Wednesday next week as well on his channel. So check that out, guys. Tony Grasso, Jasper, Geezer Prime, lots of awesome people here, guys. So Mr. Joanna Dark, thank you all for hanging out. We're gonna have some fun talking about PlayStation today and the new directions, right?
Big time, man. This is all Sony this week, man. They've had a little bit of everything this week. You had acquisition talk. You had the future of PlayStation from Jim Ryan, something that we've been talking about for a long time. And it seems as if they've taken a lot of cues from what Phil and his team are doing over at Xbox, which we kind of here and other places, anybody outside of that Sony fanboy bubble, the circus tent, anybody outside of that has been kind of telling everybody, this is the way it's going. This is the way Sony's going to go. So yeah, we had a great interview with Jim Ryan that kind of laid that out. And then we had some showcases of games. We had Gran Turismo 7 getting a great showcase, looked better than it did previously. I was actually kind of impressed, and I know that's a game that Mav's looking forward to or has been looking forward to. So I'm definitely we're gonna talk about that for a little bit. And then Ghostwire Tokyo today, which I only caught part of it, not all of it. I was at work, then I had to drive, so I haven't watched it. I can't wait to watch it in 4K. But what I did see, man, oh man, Tango Gameworks is putting everything on display. I know a lot of people love them for the Evil Within already. Look, those games are too scary for me. Everybody who's heard me talk knows I don't do horror unless you're going to give me a ton of weapons. Okay. Psychological I can do, but Evil Within, I popped it on and it was like Resident Evil 7. I was out within the first 15 minutes.
I think you would like Resident Evil 8 because they do give you a lot of weapons in that one, right? That's the one that
I played through the demo.
Yeah.
I played through the demo just fine. Got through the demo.
Yeah.
So yes, you are absolutely correct.
Once gotta have a fighting chance, right?
On sale, I gotta have a fighting chance. I can't be running for my life at all times. Okay. That's just not me. But yeah, no, this looks absolutely crazy. So I can't wait to watch that in 4K, but it looks like Tango is coming with it for a game that a lot of people kind of forgot because there's so much coming out right now. I think they did a great job today of showing off enough uniqueness. I'll say it that way. I always say the Japanese weirdness because I love it to death. I love when it gets crazy and goofy and weird. There's a lot of that, but I'll say it's unique and definitely showcased very well. So yeah, it's been a big week for Sony, but let's start here, Mav, of course. Let's start with the big bomb and then we'll get into the other stuff. Let's get this out of the way. Sony, for anybody living underneath the rock, announces this week the acquisition
of Halo.
Correct. That's what you knew exactly what I was going to say. Yes, I was actually going to say Halo. No,
I had to get that in there. Sorry.
No. Oh, brother, I already got a rant prepared for Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyways,
it just shows the ignorance of like so many people that make so many comments and tweets and stuff, dude. It's insane.
It is insane to think that gamers actually honestly believe. Yeah. Anyways, so no, they purchased Bungie, of course, the creators of Halo, but long since gone on their own, have now forged a new hit game that has been, well, I mean, the first iteration did very well, but then they came back with Destiny 2. And hey, look, whether you love Destiny or you hate Destiny, and I was a Destiny 1 player, tried Destiny 2, could not get into it the same way I got into Destiny 1 for whatever reason. But there are many in this community and many millions out there enjoying Destiny 2 a lot, like ridiculous amounts of hours for some people. So they've done very well for themselves. This right here was a big announcement, not one that was expected at all. Is it on the same level as Xbox's purchase of Activision Blizzard King? No, of course not. Of course not. But for Sony, it is something. And I'll get into my thoughts. But first, I want to get into Mavs because honestly, we haven't talked. I wasn't on Xbox Factor podcast this week. You missed it too.
I wasn't able to be there.
You didn't get it.
So work meeting.
So yeah, we haven't really been able to talk. I mean, I think we've had some DMs behind the scenes, but nothing major. So Mav, when you heard this news, I mean, again, initial thoughts. I mean, who won? Who lost? Is this overpaying? As is the big discussion. Give it to me, man. What did you think about Sony going out and getting Bungie?
Man, I was like, what? That's crazy. I mean, I expected at some point the shoe was going to drop on a large acquisition by Sony. Now, how large? I didn't know. I figured like at max it would be probably in that realm of what they spent, right? It kind of just in that ballpark. But it's like, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to get a smaller publisher? Are they going to go after like some of these like dev studios that are kind of like more moves that they've been doing? But like the writing's been on the wall that they've been making all these acquisitions and moves and stuff to kind of build a new infrastructure, right, for their pipeline, right? And that's kind of they've all been targeted smart things. Like I've actually have no like I can't criticize really any of the moves that they've been making. I mean, you can say like, oh, they're not big studios like Xbox has been doing, right? Which but they've still been smart, right? They've been smart acquisitions, smart deals, spending money very well. And then this one, it was kind of like out of the blue, and it was like, whoa, okay. Bungie, I wasn't seeing that one coming because we had seen a lot of talk before about Xbox possibly getting in the mix on that, or possibly in a different publisher. And then it's also questions like, who are they going to make a deal with? Because they are kind of also want to remain independent. That's always been a big thing with them, right? That's why they split off from Microsoft in the first place. That's why it didn't work out with Activision, right?
Correct. Everywhere they've gone, they've left, right?
Yes.
Just to remind people too, I should have said this in again, professional podcaster here. 3.6 billion is what they paid for it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about how that breaks down because there is a supposed breakdown, which kind of reduces that amount, which is what everybody was kind of freaking out about. But continue. Man.
Yeah, no problem, man. And as far as like what it does for them, right? That I think we can get into some of that because I think with the question of did they overpay, right? That's where a lot of people immediately react. They see the 3.6 billion, and then maybe it actually works out to lower, like we've seen as well. But regardless, it's still a big number, right? And you're saying, okay, it's like a single team kind of place, or I don't know if it's they have more than one team, but like as far as like it's like 900 employees, right? It's not like 10,000 like Activision Blizzard. It's not like ZeniMax Bethesda where they have like 9 different studios, right, working on all these different projects and all these things. You know, it's pretty much what they've been working on is Destiny, right?
One IP,
right?
Yeah, one IP, and maybe Oni,
right? And their past like Halo and the stuff they had before that doesn't come along for the ride because obviously Microsoft owns that, right? And so it was kind of like, well, what are they getting? What are they getting here? You know, one IP, you know, content's king, you know, content's key. And for me, I look at Bungie a little differently than I look at most studios, right? Bungie holds a special place in gaming history because they are pretty much single-handedly are responsible for the success originally of the original Xbox with Halo. Okay. When they made their next game, nobody knew what it was going to be, and they announced it. The hype got huge, and then once they got that PlayStation branding and marketing behind it, what did that do for PlayStation, right? That helped them tremendously. You got lots of people that were so excited about Bungie's next game was going to be on PlayStation, not on Xbox, right? And so
they thought it was exclusive the way they marketed it.
Yes, 100%. A lot of people did, and they got content earlier and all these things, right? And so you had droves of people that were looking forward to Bungie's next game moving in on a PlayStation, right? And that was big for them. And Destiny became one of the most played games over the last decade, hands down, right? Yeah, I mean, nobody can really question that. Super popular IP. So they've went on to create 2 of the biggest franchises in gaming history, right? That when they go all in, when they go in on something, they kind of go all in on it, right? Now they have, when I look at Bungie and this acquisition, I look at, it's not necessarily just about Destiny, which a lot of people believe it's, hey, they're buying it for Destiny. It's about their future projects, okay? Which we don't know what they are right now. But once they do reveal that, you best believe it's going to be a massive deal, right? The marketing behind it, the hype behind it, everything is going to be huge. So that's one aspect. And they're supposedly working on games, plural, because they put that in their FAQ. When they said all our future games that we are currently working on will be multi-platform, is what they said. So it's like, hey, yeah, they're going to be making these new IP, right? So IP is king, but obviously Sony knows probably what it is, right? I mean, it's a private company that they're acquiring. They had to see this stuff. They got to have some excitement behind it to drop that kind of money. Plus, they're getting the infrastructure of this team that is used to running this multi-platform, multiplayer juggernaut, right? That's Sony's biggest weakness. That's always been Sony's biggest weakness in the online era, right? And what do they need to do to get to that next level for services and for subscriptions as well? You got to have that content that keeps people engaged, that keeps people wanting to remain in the ecosystem and paying month after month for a service. And having stuff like whatever the future Bungie thing is, having stuff like Destiny, having stuff like these other games that we'll talk about potentially in the future, right, is a big reason why you bring in a team like Bungie, because is there many people better at it than them? So it's hard for me to say, is that too much money? Because, at the end of the day, I look at Xbox buying Minecraft, one IP, and Mojang as a hell of a deal. But back then, what did they acquire them for? $2 billion?
Yep, $2 billion.
$2 billion?
Yeah. Yep.
So that worked out well for Microsoft. You know what I mean? And I see this as a similar thing with Sony. And I think that game is going to help that company is going to help transform them for what they want to be for the future. And that's coming from their mouths, not mine. Right? Like people say, like, you're just trying to say, no, that's what they're saying, right? Jim Ryan, all the like executives and, Bungie themselves. This is about the future of PlayStation. And I think it's going to be, I think it's the right move. And I'm happy for Bungie, right? Because they are, according to the deal, now people have said, hey, that maybe this is not going to stick. Parent company can change things later and all this stuff. But according to the deal, they have creative independence. They have the ability they're going to self-publish, and they're not going to be forced to put stuff keep stuff from platforms and all this kind of stuff. So we'll see exactly what takes place. I think a lot of that's still up in the air. So all we have to go on right now is based on what they're saying, which what they are saying surprises the crap out of me, honestly. After I read it and I saw the FAQ, I'm like, wow, okay, that's the one thing that shocked me is so much talk about from the devs themselves reiterating their games going multi-plat. And future games is what they said. And that was surprising to me, right? Because from Sony's perspective is like, they even use the language at that point about talking about multi-platform, right? And that was like, okay, this is interesting. I'm just kind of gonna gauge this and see where it's going. But it's gonna be interesting to determine what they meant by the words multi-platform, right? What is the meaning by the words multi-platform? And that's what we don't know right now. And that's gonna be fun to find out. Shout out to Silent Cypher, Brian Hopkins. Thank you, sir, for the very generous $5 super chat. He says, good evening, my dudes. Great to be here with you this evening. Hope you are well. Thank you for giving me something to enjoy while doing chores. Hey, vacuum that floor, get the dishes done, whatever you got to do, man. Appreciate you being here, bro. And thank you for the $5 super chat. And we got a comment from my wife. She says, hi, daddies. I think that should be like not plural, babe. I think it should be singular, like hi, daddy.
That's okay, Caitlin. I approve. So don't worry. Don't listen to your other daddy. Okay.
Hey. Asshole. All right. Yeah. KhAos ThEory. I remember. So I was watching. I don't remember if it was Xbox Factor Primetime Gaming or one of Boom's shows, and I was having a discussion like when they were on. KhAos ThEory and Dutch were talking, and I was kind of like DMing them back and forth, going like, I can't believe what I'm reading about this stuff, and they were sitting there talking on the show about, these games being, like, hey, their future games are going to be only on PlayStation, all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man, because it's like, all I have to go on is what they're telling me, and what they're telling everybody. And so KhAos ThEory is like, just made a comment I want to read. He said, evening, folks. He says, I was very skeptical at first, but the more I read, the more I'm surprised. This might actually be what they say it is. Yeah, I agree. It's very different than the language that Microsoft and use, because the devs themselves, after the ZeniMax Bethesda deal, didn't come out and say our future games are going to be multi-platform, right? That's never something that happened, right? They didn't say any of that stuff, right? And even the wording now with the Activision Blizzard thing, using the words like we desire our games to be multi-plat, is like still different than this saying our future games will be multi-platform. Now the question is, the only thing I can read between the lines, if you want to say there's a gray area there, is what does multi-platform mean, right?
Well, let me read their exact quote that they put up.
Yeah,
real quick. We remain in charge of our destiny. We will continue to independently publish and creatively develop our games. We will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. Our games will continue to be where our community is, wherever they choose to play.
Right. That shocks me, man. Like, it sounds like they're going to be on Xbox still,
Yeah, it does. And I don't doubt it, right? I don't doubt for a second. Now, I'm skeptical of the new IP if it doesn't come with some caveats. I am skeptical of that. I know for a fact that Destiny is going to continue on to be just like we've seen with Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
When Fallout 76, all the games that we know that we think of as games of the service. Now that new game, that new IP, I know what Bungie is saying right now, but there's always the possibility that that one is the exception, right? That there is just, hey, we're developing it right now for PlayStation and PC. That's what we're developing for right now. We're putting all of our resources towards those two, right? And that certainly could happen.
Okay, let me read you this real quick, Pong.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want to. Yeah. This was on their FAQ page, right?
Yep.
And I know you've seen this too, but I want the chat to hear this, so that way they understand like kind of where our discussion is. The question on the FAQ is: Bungie has future games in development. Will they now become PlayStation exclusives? Right. So again, that question is: Bungie has future games in development. Will they now become PlayStation exclusives? Again, that they even word that as PlayStation exclusives instead of like, will they remain on other platforms? They're specifically talking about being exclusive on PlayStation. And they said, no, we want the worlds we are creating to extend to anywhere people play games. Okay. We will continue to be self-published, creatively independent, and we will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. So again, like you can read between the lines there still, like what does multi-platform mean? What does that mean? Do you have any theories on that, Pong? I mean,
well, let's take it at face value.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take it at face value. Let's say that this is exactly what it reads, and that means that their current game, Destiny, and all future projects will remain multi-plat, including the Xbox platform. They're going to try to put it out there as many places as possible and grow their community. I think, and I might be way out on a limb on this one, but I had a theory when this was first announced, right?
Yeah.
And I started reading all this stuff, and I started listening to Jim Ryan and his latest interview right after this, right? If you look at what's happening right now, and Phil's comments after the Activision Blizzard thing, where he talked about, I trust Sony, I trust Nintendo.
Yeah.
And kind of alluded to the fact that he doesn't trust the other Tencents, Amazons, Googles coming in and screwing up the video game space. What if, and again, I might be way out on a limb. This is just me just speculating, just kind of taking a really far back view, that big RTS view, kind of looking and guessing. What if they all got together? Jim, Phil, even Bowser, right? All got together on a Zoom call and have talked about the existential threat from other tech companies jumping in here and Tencent, right? Mm-hmm. Once they talked about that, and that it was agreed upon that this industry is a lot more healthy the closer it stays to the way it is now, with expanding outward with the major players that are already in position, and that they agreed that they would do what they could to keep that outside threat from coming in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that it was better for everybody. Again, this is not like, look, it's business. It's big business. It can be cutthroat at times. The fanboys want you to think that this is war, but we already know these guys do talk. Okay. This is an industry. People within industries talk. Okay. Even if you are competitors, you're still talking, because the health of the industry is dependent upon all of you. And we can look at Sony's past and say, well, they were out for blood. They wanted to kill Sega off. They tried to kill Xbox off. And I don't think that you would necessarily be wrong. But now, at this moment in time, with how the industry is changing, I think it's possible that they did have some high-level conversations about this exact thing, and that they're saying, look, we have to push back against the outsiders coming in and messing up what we got going on here. We've got big plans. Each one of us has different roles. Each one of us has a different place that we're kind of going, but we all have the bigger plan of continuing to grow gaming as a whole. And at the end of the day, that means protecting what it is, so that it doesn't become something we don't want it to become, where we start losing customers, or customers get fed up and leave, or whatever the case may be. And I think they want to keep that outside meddling from coming in. So I think, again, just theory here. I think it's possible that this deal right here and potentially the Activision Blizzard deal with Call of Duty could signal kind of a strengthening relationship between Xbox and PlayStation, Jim and Phil. And I think that we could see some more cooperation where some of these deals like this do result. Now, I'm not talking about everything. I'm not talking about having a one console world yet. Okay. We're not to that point. What I'm saying is I think there might be some handshakes here where it's like, hey, we're going to protect what we need to protect. We need to protect certain devs, certain IP if we can, right? We can't like do crazy things, but if we can, if it's within our business means, we got to protect some of this stuff. But we're going to go ahead and make sure that we're still doing this cooperatively. So like a Call of Duty doesn't leave PlayStation, a Destiny doesn't leave Xbox, right? And I think that we could see some of that going forward, especially Jim Ryan's comments about, you know, Sony moving beyond the console.
Yeah.
You know, I think it drives it home that they've all realized where this is headed and they're all kind of sharing the same vision. I mean, I know Nintendo's doing its own thing, but eventually Nintendo's going to have to see some of the future. I mean, again, they finally saw that they had to put an Ethernet port in their system. So look, they'll finally come around at some point, and Bluetooth. But at the end of the day, I just think for the strength of the industry to keep it healthy, I think there might be some of that handshaking going on behind the scenes. Like, hey, look, past is the past. We've got a bigger threat here. If these guys move in and start gobbling up things, we all start losing IP, Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox, because Amazon comes in and says Luna exclusive. Well, that's going to be a big problem for our customers. That's going to be a big problem for the industry, because we already know a lot of people aren't going to want to move over to Luna, and we're going to start losing some popularity here, especially if a big IP goes that way. So I think there's some of that going on here. I would not doubt for the minute. So I'm going to take it at face value. Like I said, I'm still skeptical in some ways, but at the end of the day, I think that this could be a great move for everybody involved. Bungie, like you said, Mav, has created now two of the biggest franchises in gaming history. That's not by accident. You don't just trip and fall into that. That means you know what you're doing. I don't doubt their new IP is also going to be special. Could it fail? Absolutely, of course. This is a tough industry. You can make a mistake in a lot of different areas, and all of a sudden your game is not good. So, but I think at the end of the day, their past dictates what they're going to do in the future. So I think that we can assume that it's going to be a great game, and it might be something completely different, brand new, and that'd be really great. So I think that, again, if you take it at face value and then you start sitting back and you go, okay, so let's say that this is the case. Why would Sony pay $3.6 billion to go get these guys? What's in it for them if they're not going to make it exclusive? Well, you covered a lot of it, man, right? And then you also, you covered a lot as far as what they bring to the table from an actual knowledge standpoint. And Jim Ryan specifically states this in his GameIndustry.biz. I'll do these two paragraphs real quick. Ryan says the way people play games has changed a lot over the last few years. We have created some wonderful properties over the course of the last 25 years with characters that people love and resonate the world over. Offering the opportunity to enjoy those experiences in a completely different way is something that we are very excited about. I can't go into details today, obviously alluding to Spartacus, obviously alluding to games of service, all of that, but we have a really amazing roadmap on how to do that. I would back us to do live service games ourselves, but when you have the potential to have a partner like Bungie, who has been there, done it all before, learned the lessons, and have got this wonderful, brilliant team who is there and has the potential to help us, we think we can take something that would have taken a certain number of years and significantly decrease the time it will take to get it right. That's one of the main pieces they are buying. Yeah. And that's something that you can't put a price on. They are behind. Mav, we talked about it in this show. We talked about it on so many shows. Sony is behind. They're way behind Xbox in a lot of different areas. They've got to figure out a way to catch up. We talked about that. We talked about how would they do that? How would they make that leap? Obviously, the decision's been made at the top that this is the future, that streaming games, that being able to play your games wherever you are and whatever devices you interact with, having a service like Game Pass is the future, right? And Sony's obviously decided that's the case. Well, now you make that decision, and now you're behind the 8 ball because you don't have the resources that Microsoft does. You don't have the infrastructure with the Azure servers like Microsoft does, and you don't have any of the experience with these games that have suddenly caught fire over the past 5-10 years because you've been too busy milking your third party or your third person narrative driven over the shoulder action adventure game, which has been fantastic. It's made you king of the world. But now you realize your time is done or it's limited, that those games can only carry you so far. So now you got to switch up. So what are you going to do? Like Jim says, we could do it on our own. We could make the investment. We could fail a bunch of times and learn our lessons, or we can go get somebody like Bungie who's done all that, who has created success after success, as we've seen, turned Destiny 2 into one of the world's biggest games, bring them in, and we just cut all of that, all those issues out.
Yeah.
And we can get a quick start on where we need to get to. Right. And so that's one of the big major purchases. And then my final point on this whole purchase, because I think this was a win-win for both. Again, if Bungie truly does have complete freedom and they're going to continue just to publish and create the way that they always have, huge win for them at this price point. I will say about the price point, you're going to pay a premium right now.
Yep.
Microsoft paid a premium on Activision Blizzard. Okay, they did. The stock just so happened to be so low that you can still sit there and look at it and go, well, if they turn them around, they got one heck of a deal. But at the end of the day, they paid a premium to make that deal go through compared to what the stock price was. Sony's paying a premium here because now that acquisition season is wide open and all these things are happening, the resources, which we always talk about, man, that talent pool. And again, Bungie even talked about that too, not to get sidetracked, but Bungie talked about that in their statement as well, that that's the biggest thing that you're going to see from being under Sony is they're going to keep hiring more people. Bungie, you said, Mav, is it like 900 people?
Yeah, that's the last one I've seen, but it could, I mean, could be bigger.
But they have bigger plans because they're saying that's the biggest change you're going to see is that we are hiring, by the way, right now, and we're going to be bringing more talent in. Right now, talent is the number one resource in this industry. The rarest resource in this industry right now is talent outside of time, right?
Yep.
So that's also what they were getting with this was that talent, which means you're going to pay a premium on it. However, last point with this that people forget about is they're going to take Destiny and take it outside the realm of video games, okay? And there is really no better place than Sony to take that marketing and turn this into TVs and movies and all sorts of things. They are going to do that, guaranteed. That's one of the big pieces out of this deal. Sony's seeing that future money of what they can take Destiny and turn it into an entertainment juggernaut, not just a video game juggernaut, an entertainment juggernaut, because we all know the lore in Destiny is, again, deep. There's a lot. It's just like Halo. It's just like Star Wars, just like all of those. It's that strong. Now, some people would say it's too complex to figure out. Doesn't matter. When you've got that much resource material, you can turn out great TV shows. You can turn out great movies with it, even if it doesn't fit canon per se in the video game, just like they're doing with the Halo TV series, right? Not necessarily canon, but there's so much lore. There's so much there to work with. You can do that easily. And that's what they're going to do with Destiny. It's going to be a huge win, not only for the Destiny community, not for all the fans out there that probably been clamoring for this just as much as, you know, Halo fans have been clamoring for Halo entertainment in general, but it's going to be a huge win for Sony, man.
Yeah.
Again, that's where a lot of that money is going to come back in their pockets. It's going to be a marketing juggernaut. It's going to be an entertainment juggernaut. It's going to be massive. I know that's one of their big plans with this thing. So win-win, both sides. Love this deal. Sony did what they could do. They can't match Xbox one for one in acquisitions. We all know this, right? They could do bigger acquisitions. There is ways that they could certainly earn capital and go buy Take-Two or EA, but chances are they're not going to do that. Okay. But they went out and did something, got one of the great dev teams going right now. yes, for a little bit more than what people thought, but at the end of the day, you can't replace that along with all that knowledge. You can't replace that talent that they're bringing in, and that instant success that they already have in Destiny 2 just starts filling up the coffers right away. Mm-hmm. And this new IP, you know, it's going to be huge. Again, it could fail, but chances are it's going to be huge.
It's not going to fail. It's Bungie. You know what I mean?
It's like exactly. That's what I say. I'm just saying there's always a chance. Never say never, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying that's what Sony's looking at. This is a long-term play. We heard Phil talk about that with Activision Blizzard, right? This is the long play. This isn't about next year. This is about 5-10 years down the road. That's what this purchase is right here. Big time. And this is great for Sony. Like I said, it will help them catch up in a lot of ways that we're not even thinking about yet right now. So yeah, love it, man. I love these chess moves. Again, this deal started long before Activision Blizzard. This was not a defensive move. This was not desperation. This was none of that. The kind of narratives that have been floating around here. This deal has been in the works. It's been in the works since Microsoft turned down Bungie, which we now know did happen, that they came to Xbox first and asked, but Xbox wasn't willing to pay the price. And I can guarantee you part of that was Bungie saying, hey, we want to be completely separate and stay multi-plat. I'm sure that Xbox did not want to commit to that at that time and pay a premium on top of it at the same time. Sony came in, agreed to it, paid the premium. Hey, now they're under PlayStation. Good for them. I'm happy for the devs. That's a big win for them as well. So good moves. Good moves.
Yeah, I want to read a couple more of these
go ahead
things from this article too. So first off, just going back into the whole, you know, is it real what they're saying about exclusivity not being a thing in the future, about multiplat? This was in that GameIndustry.biz interview. I highly recommend everybody reading that. It says the first thing to say unequivocally is that Bungie, this is Jim Ryan, Bungie will stay an independent multi-platform studio and publisher. Pete Parsons and I have spoken about many things over recent months, and this is one of the first and actually easiest and most straightforward conclusions we reached together. Everybody wants the extremely large Destiny 2 community, whatever platform they're on, to be able to continue to enjoy their Destiny 2 experiences, and that approach will apply to future Bungie releases. That is unequivocal. Again, this is just like crazy. I mean, to hear this, like it means something that's very significant, and we got to talk about that too. But Bungie will operate autonomously within Sony Interactive Entertainment organization, and they will continue to publish on other platforms. We get the importance of this. Moving on. This is very interesting. This next paragraph says, I've been on record talking about increasing the size of the PlayStation community and expanding beyond our historic console heartland. Okay.
Where we heard that before.
Interesting, right? I'm going to say that. I've been on record talking about increasing the size of the PlayStation community and expanding beyond our historic console heartland. This can take many forms. And definitely one of the main ones is the ability for the wonderful games that we've been making over the past 25 years to be enjoyed in different places and played in different ways. Hence PC ports and stuff like that, right? We are starting to go multi-platform. You've seen that. That's like, if you put those quotes like from PlayStation like 10 years ago, just in quotations, and that's what you led as the headline, we are starting to go multi-platform. That's like that's just crazy words, right? You've seen that. We have an aggressive roadmap with live services and the opportunity to work with and particularly learn from the brilliant and talented people from Bungie that is going to considerably accelerate the journey that they find themselves on. This is an investment on the future of PlayStation, the infrastructure that they need to make the changes and the plans that they have. And then he goes on to say, we should absolutely expect more. He concludes, we are by no means done with PlayStation. We have a long way to go. I will personally be spending a lot of my time with Pete and the team at Bungie, helping make sure that everything beds down right and that autonomy means autonomy. But elsewhere in the organization, we have many more moves to make. So, very interesting. PlayStation is going under, that's why I labeled this like PlayStation is changing. Like if people don't want to say that, it's like, no, don't change. I love it. Like, hey, regardless of what people want, those feelings of having, hey, I want a box and I want to buy a game and play it on the box, and I don't want anything else to interfere with that. I don't want any other outside influence. I don't want any other ways of playing games and all this stuff. It's all going to affect me, right? That those types of people that are saying that stuff, it's happening. Like, and you can sit down there and deny it, but it is, right? So the whole industry is changing. It's moving forward with technology, and PlayStation has decided they need to get with this program, or else they're going to get left in the dust. We talked about this several times before. People thought, you're crazy. Dang, I'm crazy. People thought other people were crazy that have had these same opinions. That, no, PlayStation's always going to do their thing. It works so well for them. How are they going to sell consoles if they put games on other devices? All this kind of nonsense talk. It's the future of gaming.
Yep.
It's the future. You can't, once technology gets to a certain point and the ability to reach that many more people becomes viable, you can stick to your old ways and limit yourselves with the ability to reach a certain amount of people, or you can expand out beyond the console. And that's 100% what this move is about. It's 100% what PlayStation is committed to doing. And get ready for it. It's going to be very interesting next decade. So
it was all accelerated, right,
yep.
Mav?
Yep.
Again, I don't think this was Sony's original plan. I think Jim saw this coming, but I think that they thought they had more time.
Yep.
And I think that the pandemic and everything that's kind of happened since then, the growth of Game Pass, the explosion of the console market, and the absolute necessity to be able to, that people have shown Sony the way, that us as customers of Xbox have shown Sony that some of their old thinking wasn't going to last as long as they thought it would, mm-hmm. that people are now starting to expect things like simple things, like obviously cloud saves, transferring from wherever you're playing to the next place you're playing instantaneously without anything, without any kind of confusing directions on how to get that done. It just works, right? That kind of stuff. Smart delivery, right? Even though Sony has fought against it, they're charging people, we've gone over that, whatever else. They still see the popularity and how it puts them in a bad light. They're not dumb over there. Jim knows this, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, again, as tech has gone forward and as Xbox has shown the possibilities, again, Xbox is trailblazing here. People don't realize that. They're trailblazing like Netflix trailblazed for the movie and TV side of things. Xbox is trailblazing in a lot of ways for the video games. Other people have dabbled. PS Now was out before Game Pass, right? You can't deny that. That's fact. It was out before Game Pass.
That's dipping your toe.
It's dipping your toe. It's not going full bore. It's not showing the possibilities and pushing the tech to its, to its very limits as to what you could accomplish. And Xbox is doing that right now. And I think that with the pandemic, with this whole process, with all this money flowing into the industry, everybody trying to dive into this industry now in all different ways. I think that Sony really, and Jim specifically, when he took over, had to take a hard look at that and say, look, this was our 5-year plan. Guess what? Now it's our 2-year plan. That's that period. We have to push everything up. We might have had this laid out for as far as acquisitions goes. Well, guess what? Everybody's buying up now. We got to get in the game. Or we're going to be sitting here holding a bag of money with no one to buy anymore, right? And I think that that's what's happened to Sony. And I think that's why you're seeing these interviews. Jim talked about this before, man. Remember, he talked about that early interview. I forgot who he did it with, the gentleman, where he talked about the console market being capped and that he wanted to see more people enjoying Sony games. And that was the first clue that those things were starting to roll around and that things were moving, but people still want to try to deny it. Well, now he's flat out, just like Phil did all those years ago when he talked about his vision. Jim is telling you, guess what? Sony's no longer ignoring those 2 to 3 billion gamers. They want a piece of that 2 to 3 billion pie, and they're going to do what they can do to get there. And so that's the direction they're going. So again, as I always say, buckle up. Like Nick said in the chat, Nick's, I've used that a lot too in some of the shows. Adapt or die. Yeah, that's what happens in industry. We've seen it time and time again. Industries can change like this, and if a company isn't ready, it could be gone tomorrow. And that's the way it works. Even for a company as big as Sony, they've got to be ready for the future. So buckle up. It's going to be fun. But yeah, this was huge, Mav. This was a great move on their part. And I think it's only the first move. You know, we had talked about it previously too, about, you know, well, what's Sony doing? And like I said, they've always got aces up their sleeves. Sony ain't stupid. They ain't sleeping. They've been talking behind the scenes. We heard about game deals were going down that we still don't know about, that they've been spreading money around more than we know about. Well, guess what? Bungie was one of those money deals. They happened to be talking to them last summer, right? So this stuff's going to continue to happen as we go forward. But Mav, you did bring up the games as a service, right?
Yeah.
And this plan, this was another interesting thing that came out of all of this was Jim flat out saying we're going to have 10 live service games, not love service, as Mav typed me, not love service games. Although I still think there's a market for
maybe
that.
Maybe one of them
Jim,
will be a love service game.
Maybe one of them will be a dating sim or something. That'd be pretty sweet. But 10 live service games by what year, Mav? 2026?
2026 is what I thought it said.
Yes, 2026. And interestingly, Mav, and I don't know if you caught on to this, it was stated for PS5 and PS4.
Yeah. Hey, remember when they just like ramped up development back on the PS4s a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Talk about a change, like everything we just talked about. But talk about putting a bow on it. Sony diving into live service games. Not 1, not 2, not 5, but wanting 10 live service games in the next 4 years. That's almost 3 a year. That's 2.5 a year. Brother, that means that's not all going to be first party. So that means a lot of these third-party deals that we know about, a lot of the third-party deals we don't know about are going to be for live service games.
Yep.
Brother, what do you think about this? Because I know you want to talk about this, man. This is huge. This is like confirmation
Doesn't sound
of everything
like
we talked
Sony,
about.
right?
No, not at all.
It's crazy.
It's completely different.
Everything that we've been saying that Sony needs to do, right? And if they really want to like not get left by the wayside, right? They were going to be fine for a while, and they were still going to have a legitimate business and all this stuff. But they're not like just going to accept living in their own little bubble, right? They have bigger aspirations, right? And all of this stuff they've been doing, they want to be the lead dog, you know? And they see what Microsoft's been doing. Like you said, Microsoft's been like just carving out this path in like with all this resistance, you know, have been carving out this path and changing the landscape ahead of them, right? And leaving people in their wake being like, what did they just do? They have 30 million or almost 30 million subscribers now in a subscription service that they're getting how much per month? And like they're getting now they got Activision Blizzard, now they got, you know, ZeniMax Bethesda, and like what's going on?
But all the financial experts on Twitter will tell you that it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
It's a dead end.
Yeah.
It's a dead end.
Including a former PlayStation executive.
Yeah, who didn't want to go down this route, which is why he's gone. So
right.
And I love Sean Layden.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Love
Sean.
No offense. You know,
no. He's closer to Phil than Jim ever will be in a long time. So whatever. Yeah.
It's just, does this mean that their single player, third person action adventure games are going to go away? No. And that's the thing that people have to take to heart. Does this mean that you're not going to get to play a future God of War or a future Horizon, a future this or future that? Well, that would really suck if that's the case. But I don't think that's the case at all, because what is PlayStation known for? What do they stand behind? Is their brands. Their king content, right? The IPs that they've created that are beloved by millions and millions of gamers that hold them high above all other IP. They do. Whether I agree with that or not, it doesn't matter. That's just the reality of the situation, why there's 140 million PS4s that were sold, or whatever the number is, right? But that number, 140 million, is not the future, right? They're looking beyond. That's why hardware sales, like what we kept seeing last generation, hardware sales aren't the metric anymore for success. Once they started the subscription base, once they started putting games on other platforms and all this stuff, it's about content and about services and engagement. And once the entertainment industry, music, movies, all this stuff went that direction, the next step to catch up was gaming, but the tech was too hard to achieve. Right? It's not anymore. They're getting there. They're reaching these things. Game Pass has been carving out that path, and PlayStation wants that. And the live service games, if you don't tell me it's about Spartacus, I wouldn't believe you. Right? What do they need for multiplayer, and what do they need for a live service game, or for a subscription model to be successful? You can't have short one-off content and then be done with it. You got to have ongoing engagement, right? You got to have reasons to keep coming back. Why do you think Xbox keeps having these co-op multiplayer experiences drop into Game Pass, right? Games that keep people playing together and coming back, right? But you also got to have variety. That's another key, because you got to cast a wide net. You got to have stuff for the single player gamers like Hellblade 2, right? You still got to have that Halo Infinite campaign, right? You got to have all of these experiences. So you got to cast that wide net. PlayStation has been casting a bunch of like niche, narrow nets for their first party IP, but some of them are for, like, I would say the third party action adventure first single player game is huge, right? But beyond that, they haven't had a lot from their first party. And this is going to expand. Like, I imagine stuff they could do, bringing back Little Big Planet, and like Media Molecule doing some interesting things with this space, and other creators over there with Sony just making original new ideas that they can be enjoyed over long periods of time with new content dropping, right? They tried to kind of get behind Godfall with the launch of the PS5, which was another developer they kind of were teaming up with at that time with a partner deal, publishing, or I don't know if they even published that game, but they paid for exclusivity or something with that. It didn't quite hit, right? And all 10 of these games, not all of them are going to hit. No. You're going to have some duds in there. You're going to have some games that are better than others, but I guarantee you a couple of them are going to hit, right? And that's all they need, right? So bringing in Bungie again is going to help that. But man, it's like, it just sounds so crazy to say all these things we've been saying for all these years, and to now finally see these announcements, like 10 live service games announced from Sony, announced from PlayStation. Like, that's what Xbox does, right? And it's just interesting, dude. I think, like, it's as a gamer, right? As a guy that's always loved PlayStation, always loved Xbox. I've loved Nintendo. Don't enjoy them right now, but loved Nintendo. This is like, thank you for me, right? Like, give me more of a reason to enjoy playing consistently on a PlayStation, right? Because it's been that, like, okay, it's been that box that I have where I go and I play on all my multiplayer stuff on Xbox, and then I'll like step away and I'm gonna go play this game. I get kind of into it for like a week, and I come back and I live on Xbox again, right? And that's kind of how it's all been with PlayStation over the last decade. And now it's seeming like, okay, there's potential things going to be happening. They're going to keep me engaged in that platform, right? So I'm super excited about that. And I can't wait to see what it is. I can't wait till we get more of these game announcements, right? PlayStation as a multiplayer focused developer, it's going to be a very interesting thing to see. I can't wait for it, dude. Are you excited about that, or do you just want them to stick with what they've been doing?
No. Look, it's a lot to this, and thanks, Matt, for reminding me too. The Bungie deal also works very well with Spartacus going forward.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You don't think about that. So even if Destiny, like we talked about all the advantages that Xbox has, even if Call of Duty were to remain multi-plat, well, Sony enjoys those same benefits with having Destiny underneath their umbrella, right? So Game Pass will never get a deal again with Destiny, right? Game Pass, it'll never show up in Game Pass again unless things get really crazy. It won't show up in Game Pass again, but Sony's going to be able to offer it right in Spartacus, right? You're going to be able to get the DLC if they choose to, all that kind of benefit that they have. They're going to control that portion of it. That's something that Bungie is not going to do. Even though they say they self-publish, there's no way they're going to cut a deal with Microsoft and Xbox to put it in Game Pass and not on Spartacus, right? That's not going to happen. So that is one big giant benefit, and it's their first, live service type game that they're going to be able to offer right out the gates.
Yep.
And then obviously the new IP has been worked on for a long time, so that's going to be another one right there. But yeah, Mav, you made some great points talking about this, because Sony, again, they could become the next Nintendo. They could become the boutique gaming company, quote unquote. Thank you, Colin Moriarty, because that's what he wants Sony to be, is the boutique game company, right? And I love that word because that does really describe what Nintendo is right now.
Yeah, and if Nintendo said they're not going to do all these acquisitions and stuff, they're confident living in their bubble. Within. Right.
Yep, they are. They've built their small. It's a castle. It's a small castle, but it's a very profitable castle. But they have insulated themselves, right? Yep. They are reliant upon nobody. No third party. Or let's put it this way, all third parties could decide tomorrow, hey, we're not putting our games on Nintendo anymore. And Nintendo would be just fine.
Yeah.
Right. They could. Right. They could. Nintendo would be just fine. Whereas Sony and Xbox are much more dependent. Yeah. Now we see, again, I talked about this before, Xbox moving in that direction where they are now building their own moat and insulating themselves from the rest of the gaming industry, so that no matter what decisions are made out there, they're going to be more than fine, because they got so many studios, so much IP, that at any given moment, they could start making their own X game. If X game decided not to come over on Xbox, right? Like, let's say Monster Hunter, right? We just heard that they're working on a Monster Hunter type game. They can go out and do that, right? They could do it internally. They're insulating themselves as well from that future problem. But Sony, again, if they kept going their same route, what they would wind up is a boutique video game company that specifically makes exclusives for their hardcore fan base. And that fan base may very well be just like Nintendo's. That fan base may be very, just accepting of whatever Sony says. Hey, pay $70. Okay, pay $70, right? They'll do that. And you could make a living off of that. Sony could do that. But because they don't want that, they have to go this route. And this is the future. They look over again at all these other companies. They can look at PC too, but Microsoft specifically as their closest competitor, and look over and see what a Sea of Thieves is doing. What is it now? How many years, Matt? 6, 7?
I don't even know. It's been around for a while now, and it's 7 years, growing.
Hitting new marks every single year. 25 million people. Now they see Grounded doing the same thing in the same type of way. Sure, it starts slow, but then it ramps up and those games survive. And that engagement keeps people within your ecosystem. And if Sony is going full bore with Spartacus, and they want to go ahead and have a copycat service to Game Pass, which again, it's not going to be one for one. They can't do that, but it's going to be enough that their fan base goes, I'm in. And they instantly could have like 30 million subscribers out the gates. That's a realistic proposition if they do this right.
Yeah.
They could make up catch-up numbers real quick. Well, that's fantastic, but what are you going to do to keep them in your service? You can't have a bunch of one-and-done games no matter how awesome they are. And yes, there'll be a certain percentage of people that always go back to single-player games to replay them. I'm not counting them. I'm talking about the majority. The majority is always looking for the next best thing. That next great thing to say, hey, I want to sit down and play tonight. So what are you going to do? Well, you got to have some games of a service that keep people engaged for extended periods of time, that people can hop in and out of as they wish, that they can always go back to because it's always something fresh and new within that game, or something has changed, or there's new DLC dropping, or a new skin, or a new season, or whatever the case may be. They understand that they have to have those types of games available in order to make that work. Otherwise, people are going to subscribe when the new game comes out, play for however long they're going to play it. They're done with that game. If there's nothing new waiting for them, they're going to unsubscribe. Just like people do with Netflix for certain people that only like one type of show or two types of shows, right? But Netflix overcomes that by having so much in there that the majority of people stay in the ecosystem because, hey, even if it's not something I'm interested in, I can flip through about 1,000 different shows and find something I'm willing to watch, right? So that's what Netflix does. Sony's not going to be able to have that kind of content like we see on Game Pass. So they are going to have to develop these live service games to make sure that there's always something new and fresh popping into their ecosystem that people can dive into and say, hey, this makes it valuable for me to stay in this service. I want to stay in this service because I'm having a blast playing this game. My friends are playing this game. We meet up once a week to play this game together. That's what it takes. Why do you think Xbox focuses so heavily on co-op multiplayer games? Why do those always seem to drop into Game Pass? Why does everybody, when they drop in there, say, God, this game was made for Game Pass? Matt, you and I just did it with Extraction.
Yep.
Why? Because the friends all start playing it. It's a download away. Next thing you know, you got your friends hitting you up. This is what I did to Steel. Steel had zero interest in Extraction. And I was in his DMs going, dude, it's in Game Pass. Just download it. Yeah. Mav and I and Caitlin, we're all going to hop into Extraction. Would you? Just try it. It's in Game Pass. He's like, okay, fine, I'll download it. Guess what? He loves that freaking game now. He loves that freaking game. Yeah,
he's obsessed with it. Just like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's what happens. And Sony gets this. Sony sees that this is the future. You can't just have all live service games. We know that. Like Mav said, not every single one of these 10 that they have planned. And I don't think Jim just magically pulled that number out of his butt. I think that they have those in the works, right? I think they really do. I don't think Jim was just sitting there throwing out random numbers. I think he really does have a roadmap with those games of service on there, but you can't have just those either. They're going to have other content. You and I have talked about this here as well, Mav. They will still go make their third-party deals. I can guarantee you they got deals with Square Enix right now to get some of their Final Fantasy into Spartacus, right? I know that for a fact. They're working on that kind of stuff. So they're going to do that, and they're going to fill the gaps, and they're going to do all this kind of stuff. But games as a service is really a moneymaker. It is an engagement metric, which is the key metric now when we talk about this stuff. And all those fit exactly what Sony's going to need to make Spartacus and their future successful. There's no way they don't know what kind of money's being pulled in from these games. They've seen the Fortnites through the years, right? Yep. They've seen these big wins. And no, not every game is going to be a Fortnite, but even if you do 1/10 of what Fortnite does, you are banking, right? You are setting yourself up to go ahead and fund all those third-person, over-the-shoulder, narrative, action, adventure-driven games. You will then just fund all of those through your live service games. And then you don't have to worry about those sales, right? Then you don't have to worry about those things doing 20 million in sales or 10 million in sales or 15 million in sales. Guess what? Then you can have a Ben Studio make a game that maybe doesn't hit your mark, but if it does 2, 3, 4, 5 million, you could still say it's successful. Why? Because it was already funded and you didn't have to worry about it. And then guess what that also means? That means those games can drop into your live service or drop into your ecosystem, into your Spartacus, into your Game Pass service sooner than later, if not day one. And now you have the formula that Xbox has been using for a very long time and has shown you works. Despite what the fanboys think, it is sustainable. Again, Sony's not thinking about trying to make their own Game Pass as big as what we see with 400 plus titles in there. They're not thinking about that. They don't have to. They've got mind share. if they do enough where their fan base is happy and says, hey, that $15, $20 a month is worth it because I get A, B, C, and D. You don't need E through Z to make them happy.
Yeah.
You just need the initial. That's all Sony has to do. And that's exactly what they're going for here. I think it's a great plan. Again, I'm excited about I love this stuff, man. This is why I jump in here. And anybody, again, I have my bias because I chose Xbox first out the gates this generation. But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean I hate Sony. It doesn't mean I dislike Sony in any way, shape, or form. I could disagree with some of their moves. But this is what competition does. This is what the business side of things gets me so just pumped for, because I love these chess moves and I love to watch these high level execs figure things out and try to dictate what they're going to do down the road. Because at the end of the day, right now, with where the industry's at and what's happening, is all these moves are going to mean good things for us. And I'm sorry if you're not a live service player or games as a service player or whatever. I understand. You don't have to like those games, but those games, especially the successful ones, feed your type of games. They allow Sony to go make more moves. They allow Sony to go get more studios. They allow Sony to go ahead and say, hey, we weren't going to greenlight this IP because it was a little risky. Guess what? All this constant money flooding in each month from the subscription service is going to allow us to greenlight that IP and try it out, right? That's what this does. And people don't, if they do understand it, they're intellectually dishonest. Otherwise, they're just willfully ignorant. If you can't go and read and learn how this stuff works. These things feed each other. It's one big ecosystem. And if you get a subscription service like this working, if you get some live service games that are bringing in you constant money each month, right? That right there feeds all the stuff that you really enjoy and gives them more opportunity for that to flourish, because Sony isn't giving that up. Sony isn't going to just walk away from third person over the shoulder action, narrative action, adventure driven games. They're never going to do that. They are going to double down on those. In fact, some of these support studios they bought last year are to make sure that they can put out those games even faster. So it's not a 5-year, 6-year cycle. They're going to try to cut that back to a 3-year cycle. Guarantee you that. So that's not going away. Your fears are unfounded. Sony's not all of a sudden going to say, everything we make is free to play and it's going to be monetized and we're going to have loot boxes and we're going to have my team. That's not what Sony's going to do. That's not their forte. They're going to have other people do a lot of it. They're going to bring in some teams like Bungie to help out, but they're going to continue to focus on what got them to be king and just add all of this diversity on the back end to it, which is, again, only beneficial to the customer. That's it. We all win when these companies are fighting like this, when these companies are making these chess moves. And again, if my theory is correct and the big three are really looking out for the industry and saying, we don't want these outside forces coming in and messing our stuff up, that's even better. Now we got bodyguards at the door, making sure that nobody's going to come in like a 10-cent and take an IP and all of a sudden either monetize the hell out of it or turn it into a mobile only game, right? That could certainly happen tomorrow. But if we've got these big boys all playing together, even though they're kind of competing, even though they're kind of in their own separate fields, but they're all kind of in concert with each other saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and make this kind of moat around the entire industry and keep as much out as possible and keep as much in for us. Hey, I'm all about that. I'm happy, man. So I love this stuff. This was a fantastic interview. Love Jim coming out and now. Again, doors are kind of open,
He's
right?
He's not holding back. I haven't really listened to any of these, like, I'm curious what some of these shows and stuff, that podcasts, like Colin Moriarty and all of these type of people are going to say now, right? Because this is the thing they've been waging war against for several years now and saying that this is not the right way to do it. And now to see their favorite brand coming out and the brand that has been opposite of that embracing this, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious how that's going to react with the fan base, and I predict they will all come along for the ride because they'll realize it's not that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just depends on as long as they keep making your games, like, what does it matter? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and
right.
I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sourglow made a really good comment as well. I want to read that. He said, I have to go, but 2 things before I go. He said, first, awesome show, and I love listening to both your ideas. I think this is going to be great for us users as long as we are able to keep these companies in check. Yeah, that's going to be a very important thing as well, because as consolidation happens, you have less overall, you have less competition just between different markets. You're still going to have all your indie stuff out there and everything like that as well, but you know, when fewer companies have major control, then you always have to kind of keep your eyes on them. So and then he also says, second, let's hit that like button and get to 50 likes. Yeah, appreciate any likes, share, sub to the channel, everybody out there. And I see lots of awesome people still hanging out here in the chat. So thank you all for watching. What else have we got on the docket there, Pong?
Well, let's drop in. Let's keep going with the Sony here because it is their week. Let's celebrate them. So, Mav, a game near and dear to your heart, one that I was in love with back in my PS2 days, and then kind of fell away from, and Forza kind of took over. But Gran Turismo 7, brother.
Yeah. People were saying I was crazy when I kept saying it looks pretty good. You know, I don't know.
I still think you're crazy with what you're talking about, but at the end of the day, it looks better than it did before. And I will bring up the parts that I really liked when I watched this, because there was some. I actually took some notes the other night while I was watching it in 4K. But Mav, so you've been a long time Gran Turismo fan. I go back to the originals again, up through 2, maybe 3. And then after that, I kind of fell off. I kind of got bored with it, and it wasn't the same game anymore. But Polyphony, again, well-known company, history of the gaming industry. Gran Turismo was king forever when it came to car sim racing. They were doing things that nobody else was doing.
Yeah.
Really, in any I mean, there was other titles that tried to do it, but nobody could come close to what Gran Turismo was doing. Right.
Back in the day, yeah.
Back in the day, right? So, and then competition comes along. Gaming industry blew up. More people started doing sim racing. You got your dirts before they went arcadey this time around. But back in the day, they were awesome rally racing sim games.
Colin McRae rally.
Colin McRae, yep. Sega Rally was fantastic as well. So more people started coming in and really putting out good quality stuff. And then obviously we know Turn 10 showed up with Forza and became a main competitor of Gran Turismo, and then slowly but surely proved to be the better in most people's eyes. Not everybody. Some people still love Gran Turismo more so than Forza, or have never even touched a Forza. And I don't blame them. Again, Gran Turismo is still quality. It's just not what it used to be.
Yeah.
So anyways, they had a big showcase this week. Really PlayStation went out of their way and really got down and dirty and kind of broke down. Like, some people have said it was too long. For me, the style of Polyphony and who they are, they're like this. How do I say that?
They're very like this quirky in a way. You know what I mean?
In a way, but they're almost classy in a way. Like
quirky,
they're like
classy. Yeah.
They're like the 5-star restaurant.
It's
right?
like a 5-star restaurant jazz.
Right. With some jazz. Right. Yeah. That's a good way to say it too. But it's kind of crazy. I loved the presentation. I didn't get bored any part of it. Of course, I do love cars and I do love driving games, so that might have helped. But at the end of the day, I thought it was a great presentation. Bam, you obviously, again, you've been hoping for the return of a good Gran Turismo. It's one of the reasons why you had a PS5, was you were waiting on this game. Early showings, I think we can all admit, weren't the best. There was some very questionable stuff in the early showing. But with this showing, did it answer all your questions, man? What did you pull out of this? Did this, I knew you were already excited for it. You were planning on, playing it at some point anyways, but what'd you think after watching this showcase? What were your initial thoughts here?
I just almost banged and knocked my desk over out of excitement here to talk about this. Yeah. So first off, everybody, I'm going to get this out of the way first. Forza has been my favorite racing game ever since Forza Motorsport came out. Right? And love Forza Motorsport. I am super hyped because I also think Forza Motorsport's coming out this year as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out, because it's not every year you get a Forza Motorsport and a Gran Turismo dropping at the same year. I think it's going to happen this year. So it's going to be very interesting. Now, as far as like Gran Turismo, I put out there, hey, I think it looks good. I remember some of the earlier trailers they had that we've seen, like people were taking screenshots of stuff and like, oh, this looks horrible and all these things. But I was like, the shots that they were taking, like, I don't know why they included those in the original trailers, because they were like overhead shots of like places that aren't on the track, you know, from not the perspective of driving and stuff. And like people were comparing those shots to like a PS3 game and stuff like that. But like everything I saw in the original trailers of the actual like driving, like on the tracks, looked really good to me, right? And I was like, let's just, you know, wait and see. You know, I think it's going to be really good, because everything that they've been saying, they've kind of been refocusing back on that campaign and refocusing back on making it a big thing again, right? I don't like these like little spin-off Gran Turismos they do, like Gran Turismo Sport, or remember the other one that was like a demo to Gran Turismo 5, like GT Prologue or whatever it was. Like, it's just like, man, polyphony, how do you say it? Polyphony.
Yeah.
Polyphony digital is like very frustrating, and it always has been for me, because they take so freaking long.
Yeah.
Right. And then the frustration was like, oh, we're gonna release this like middle stopgap game in the middle of development of the next one, which just delays the progress of the next one as well, in a way, right? I always got frustrated with them. And yeah, Gran Turismo has fallen off big time for me. Like, I've dabbled, you know, but after 4, it's fallen off dramatically, right? Gran Turismo 1 through 4, loved them, right? Absolutely loved them. Great games. And now I've had hope. I've had that nostalgic hope that one of my favorite franchises was going to return to glory at some point, right? Because there's something unique about Gran Turismo. Like, if Forza's, you know, got the physics, got the graphics, and everything else, and I'm going to love Forza, right? For me right now, Forza's still king. But Gran Turismo scratches this itch that nothing else does, right? It has this certain quality to it, this certain style to it. Like you said, like the 5-star restaurant, like it's just ultra, like it's like ultra serious, right? There's no fluff, there's no BS. You know, there's a little quirkiness stuff with like, because it's got, you know, this like jazz music playing in the background. You got like a cafe with a menu of cars and stuff, but it's like all done like in a very, like, they try and be like a prestigious type thing, or like a pristine thing, yes. Right? And that transcends into the track, right? Like, when you're racing in that game, like the way they do the lighting with the realistic lighting simulations and stuff that they've always done, it gives the game a certain feel. The cars feel slow as shit, right?
Yes,
they do. Yes. As I know, a lot of people don't like that. Yes, I like that. I actually like that. I
one of my biggest problems.
Yeah, I actually enjoy that, because I feel like it's more like realistic to like the speed that you're going at times, right? Like, comparing it to like a 200-mile-an-hour car in Gran Turismo compared to like a going 60, 70, you can really tell the difference, right?
You can tell the difference in Forza too.
Yes,
it's just that 200-mile-per-hour car still feels like you're doing 80 in Gran Turismo.
Yeah, that's like you're gonna start off with this little like crappy compact car, and you're gonna feel like you're driving like a, you know, like a moped, go-kart, you know. Yeah. So you're gonna feel like, but it's about for me, like Gran Turismo has been about, hey, this sucks, but I'm going to make the best out of this. I'm going to improve this the most I can. And then I'm going to eventually be able to afford that next car.
I'm going to drive my Yugo as best as I can, man.
Which is going to pay off. And I'm going to be like, I'm just going to have such a hard decision to make. Which car am I going to buy next? And you spend your money and you buy that car, and it's rewarding, right? And I've missed that out of car games, like racing games, about like just cars flying at me left and right. And there's no more like grind aspect. It's about just a playground. Right, which is cool, but I want that grind aspect that I used to have, and I think this is going to deliver a little bit of that to me, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. I want that, like, hey, I'm going to start from scratch, and it may take me, 3 years to get everything I want playing this game, but I'm going to have stuff that nobody else has because I put in the time, right? Like that's something about Gran Turismo used to be that way, like. And that's what I'm kind of scratching for. I don't like the slot machines and stuff in my sim racers. I don't want like them giving me shit left and right in my sim racers. Like I want that in Horizon, not in my sims. I want to earn it. Make me earn it. Make me beat those guys. Make me have to spend 250 credits on an exhaust just to get 5 more horsepower because it's gonna make me be able to hopefully pass over that guy in first place. That's the kind of stuff I liked from Gran Turismo back in the day. It sounds weird, I know, guys, but it's also
it just limits. It just limits the accessibility.
Yeah, but it's a simulation racer, right?
I understand, but let me ask you this real quick since we're right here, Mav.
Yeah,
since we're right here, you watch the state of play, right? Did you hear when they said we want all types of people to be able to play this game, right?
Right. Well, I think that because they have different modes, right? Like they have like the arcade mode and.
But that's what I was going to ask you. What in there? Because I thought they were going to break it down, kind of like, hey, we've got our classic hardcore Mav Gran Turismo in here, where you got to really grind it out with your Yugo and earn enough credits to buy a Pinto before you can move up, right?
Right.
And then we've got this.
That's the way real guys do it,
right. Real guys, real gamers, hardcore.
Yeah, real gamers.
Hardcore. Yeah, right. Jesus. Steele's rolling over in his grave right now, and on the other side. Look, so when you but I did not see them. I thought they were going to give us like an explanation of how they were doing that, but I really didn't hear that at all. Like I didn't see how I saw like the different modes, like you said, they've got like the drifting mode and that kind of stuff. Did you see anything though that was really like kind of for the casual race fan to jump into? Did you see
I think they always have this just arcade racer mode where you just kind of hop in and you have a selection of cars to pick and you just hop in a track. Okay. And I
just thought there might be more because they really made a point of it, right? So that's what I was curious.
I don't, I don't know, man. Maybe that like cafe experience or whatever it is, that they're gonna have in there is like what they're talking about. I watched it and they spent a lot of time on the weather and the stars and the sky. And,
I gotta let Nick's in the chat goes, the best part of State of Play is when they said when it rains, the ground is wet. They did actually say that. When it dries differently.
Yeah.
That was pretty classic.
And
I was like,
the puddles will take longer to dry.
Classic polyphony.
Love it, man. That's the kind of stuff I like about them. It's like crazy, and
right.
I did see that said when you start playing, you're gonna buy a Model C car or whatever, like a Model D car, and it's like a crappy like Ford Aspire or something like that, and like a Yaris,
Yaris, yeah.
And when they showed that, you know what I did? I did? I was like, yes.
Of course you did.
That's my game. I'm gonna start with that shit, and then in a year I'll end up in a Ferrari. You know what I mean? I start there. And I got to work towards the Ferrari, but I don't want the Ferrari to come after I win one Yaris race. Right? Like that's what I don't like about like the way that they treat a lot of the Sims racers now is like they just throw you like, hey, you win all the best cars, come here right now, we got all the best cars, and so they start giving them to you like candy, and it's like I don't feel like I had to work for anything, I don't feel like I had to grind for anything. It's like it's a playground at that point. Oh, you get $1 million car right away, you
don't have to play with them, Mav.
I don't, but then it's like it's there, it's there. I feel like the campaign has to be structured in that way as well, right? So, they said it's like a classic Gran Turismo career experience, so we'll see. Yeah. Like, I'm very curious how it's gonna go. But overall, gameplay wise, it looks solid. Like, I think it's going to feel and play like Gran Turismo does, which means you're going to probably be able to bounce off of walls to get by your opponents, which is another reason I like it, because I don't like braking. You know, in simulation racers, you know, if you're in front of me and I need to make a turn and I got to get to first place, you're being used as a bumper.
Yep.
I'm going to bounce off your ass.
That's not real racing, man.
No, it's not. It's okay, right? This is one of those quirks, right? I'm a wall bounce my ass in my way to first place in a simulation racer in a Toyota Yaris with a new muffler, and that's going to get me to first, and I love every second of it.
Oh God.
What did you think though, man? Like, what did you think overall? Like, were you actually impressed with it, or like, were you being like, it looks like Gran Turismo?
Well, first of all, I can't believe you didn't bring up something. Out of all that talking you just did, one of your favorite aspects about Gran Turismo, you didn't even bring up because they showed it at the end. You know what I'm talking about? One of the things you always talk about when you go on your Gran Turismo rants about how hardcore you like it.
With the licenses?
Well, the licenses were one thing.
I don't remember what was at the end of the trailer, man.
Okay. There was a car wash.
Oh, and oil changes?
Yes. Oil change. Yes, they've got the oil changes.
And mile counters.
I did not see the mile counters, but I'm assuming since they have the oil change on them.
I don't know if I stayed through the whole end of the trailer.
Oh, I think they showed that. They showed it. They said, and yes, car washes and oil changes. And they showed one being done.
It's important. You know what I mean? You got to take care of your car. You got to have that sense of car ownership. You know, I remember like in like the first Gran Turismo I played, I started out with this green piece of shit like Nissan, like Silvia or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but man, I grew to love. I bought it used. You know, buying a used car in a freaking video game. What does that mean? You know, it had like 100,000 miles on it. You know, it's dirty as shit. You know, so you buy it. You know, you go and you get it car wash. You change the oil and you get the car wash done. Right. Then you go take it in your first race. You're like, wow, there's no way I'm going to win. But you race like 3 times. You earn enough credits. Now you can buy an exhaust. Right. Then you can buy like something else, and you can buy something else. And then, you know, within like a few more races, you know, you start getting into first place and stuff. You keep doing that. You earn enough credits. You buy the next car. You know, now guess what? You've gotten really attached to that piece of shit Nissan Silvia that you bought for 3,000 credits at the beginning of the game. And it's like, man, okay, I kind of miss this car. You know, I actually had that experience. Like, and I've never had that in other like racing games.
I get that. You know I get the disposable aspect of other racing. I get what you're saying there. Yes. So it does make you attached to the vehicle the more you have to put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that aspect of it, and I don't disagree with you on that at all. Absolutely was much improved when I watched it. Okay. I have never like hated Gran Turismo. And again, I was a fan, a huge fan up through probably 3 of the Gran Turismo experience and everything that went along with it. Like you, Matt, I didn't sit there and complain because they weren't dumping me, you know, $1 million Ferraris. Okay. I wasn't complaining about that at all. I played through them the way that you played through them and had a good time with it. Right. So for me, I've never been that way. I just thought they lost their way and they didn't do enough improving over the years. So a lot of the stuff that we saw in this showcase was stuff that Forza's been doing. Okay. And I think that was finally something that they looked over at Forza and were honest with themselves, which Polyphony is very prideful in what they do. Again, like you said, Mav, they have this way about them, and they take it very serious. Okay. Like cars and I'm not saying Turn 10 doesn't, because the Turn 10 guys are just as into cars, but this is an Eastern, you know, culture of cars that they bring, and they love the history. They showed off the museum and all that kind of stuff. But I think it was finally time that they looked at it over at Forza and said, okay, we've kind of been behind. What can we bring from Forza and not change our game to just a Forza, you know, copycat, but really add to what Gran Turismo is all about. So I was happy to see a lot of that stuff with the customizations, and they have their own unique style when they do it. And I do love that, man. I love Polyphony's clean the clean look of all their menus, the aesthetics, bro. That stuff is stuff that I wish Forza would look at and say, okay, well, how can we improve ours so that it's more like this? I'm not saying copy by any stretch of imagination, but I'm saying there's something very, very clean about what Gran Turismo does from a presentation standpoint that I absolutely love. Like I don't know if you watched, Mav, when they showed off the body kits and you could put a wide body on it. And they had the little graphic pop up when you were putting a wide body on it. And they had a bunch of like, all dressed in the same uniform mechanics, like on a car body, like yanking on it. But it was clean and it was cool. Like that was while it was happening. That's the little graphic that you had going on the screen. I just thought little things like that, touches like that, just add to the game overall. And I was smiling through all of it. I was like, oh my God, this is pretty cool, actually. Again, like I said, the museum part of it, diving into history, is that for everybody? No. Is that for the majority? No, it's not for the majority of people. The majority of people aren't going to sit and look at all that stuff, but they still include it for that small percentage of car enthusiasts who are just like them, that want to go and dive into the history. And I thought that was very cool, because we're talking about pulling newspaper articles, old pictures. We're talking about old diagrams from the original car designs. We're talking about all this great stuff that you can, if you choose to, go learn about certain cars and about how they were created in certain companies and where they began from. That stuff, awesome touch. I love that Polyphony put that in there. The cafe part, super cool. Again, Gran Turismo can be a grind, especially if you're playing the way that Mav's talking about. It can be a real grind. To have like that cafe where you can go and, again, clean looking I mean, just it's so cool. It's just so cool. But to have the menus, and then you have individual goals that you have to accomplish, which earns you vehicles within that menu. Great touch. Loved it.
I like that too.
Gives you a little something else to work towards, right? That's cool. Gives you variety. It's not just about grinding out that next race and that next position or that next license. It's about doing some of these little things off to the side too that can earn you a vehicle. I thought that was awesome. What else? They bringing back the licensing, keeping the licensing there for the people that do want to go through it. Really cool. It looks like they expanded upon it a little bit, made some more variety to it. I really like that as well for the people that do like to do that. The attention to detail is over the top. Not only just in the cars. I know some people have problems with some of the graphics on the outside. Again, that's never been Polyphony's
like
forte.
The trees off in the distance.
Right. And we're spoiled now with Forza, okay? Because both Turn 10 and Playground put a lot of effort into that stuff. Polyphony's never been about that. I agree that they could probably put more effort into that, but I will say their car modeling and what they did this time around with the skybox, really impressive. Like the skybox, I was almost impressed with that as what Playground did with Forza Horizon 5 and the natural lighting and the clouds and the formation of weather and all that kind of stuff. That to me looked amazing. Like some of the colors that they had in the sky were like, dang, that looks real. And the lighting as it changed across the track and across the cars as it was happening in real time was phenomenal. The stars that they talked about, the alignment of the stars, the planets, all that kind of stuff. Well, you could say, well, I'm never going to look at that because I'm racing. Yeah, but it's a detail that's off in your vision while you're doing nighttime racing. And to have that background there, especially like in the replays and that kind of stuff, I'm not going to say it's important because again, at the end of the day, it doesn't affect the racing at all, but it's just cool to have it there. And it's that attention to detail that I like. They took extra time this time around to really make some improvements from their past iterations. Like you said, Matt, that again, I'd say their past iterations were like half-baked products to me.
And that why did they, right? And I always was curious, why did it take them so long to make this? It just feel like such a mid advancement, right? Right.
It's crazy. But I'm glad they did it. Right. Next thing I noticed was the locations. That's something that they've always, it hasn't been the greatest selection in the world. This time around, 30 plus locations with 90 some variations of tracks. Out the gate, over 30 locations. both
That's
real
really
and created. That's really great, man. That means you can go find a lot of different types of tracks. That means you're going to be able to, you're not going to feel like you're having to play the same oval over and over again. I think that right there is going to add a lot to Gran Turismo. So I was happy about with that. All the dynamic weather stuff, again, with the rain affecting the engines and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people are like, oh, whatever. Well, that's part of sim racing. The fact that they pointed it out means that they've put a lot of work into that aspect, that wet weather will affect your vehicle, just like dry weather will. So I thought that was really cool. The whole rain thing was hilarious. I mean, how they broke it down, but it was still cool to see it live in action, how it worked. I thought that was pretty phenomenal. Otherwise, what else? All the customization, loved it. Love that they've added all the customization, not just in performance, but in appearance as well.
Yeah, it's been a thing they've been lacking in with appearance.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time. And you can see that they looked over at Forza, right? And especially in the paint department.
Yes.
You saw how much more they added this time.
Yeah, I know Fuzzy Belvedere, our buddy Fuzzy, is going to be so happy about that.
So happy. Yeah. So happy about that. That was awesome. Really, their replays are their strength to me. When they show the replays, that's why we see so much of it. People are like, well, we don't see a lot of in-game driving. Well, the in-game driving is good. Again, I saw some things where I was like, okay, well, this is nothing special. I mean, Forza does this better, and whatever.
Yeah.
It's not even a sim. But at the end of the day, like the replays, they have the best replays, and that new music replay feature, Mav, be able to create your own clips with music that actually affects the replay with different camera angles. They don't just have the static camera angles anymore. Bro, I was like, I want Forza to do this. This is phenomenal right here. Because now also they added, or I don't know if they added, because I didn't play the last one. I don't know if you played the last one, Matt. Did they have this big community place where you can go share all your stuff?
I didn't really. Here's the thing about PlayStation. I never really played online or mess with stuff with the social things. So they may have had it. I don't even know.
They really made a point to push this. That's why I'm thinking that either A, they really expanded it a lot or whatever, but just that they have this whole community place now where you can share your pictures, you can share your clips, you can share all this kind of stuff with all the other kind of car lovers out there. And to be able to post these clips with music kind of choreographed with choreographed camera work during the race, man, that's cool. That's awesome. I love that kind of stuff. Like, I really would probably dive in there and make some sweet clips, because I think that stuff just adds to the flavor. So Scapes looked improved beyond what it's already gorgeous. For anybody who doesn't know, that's Gran Turismo's photo mode, is their Scapes.
Yeah, they're like actual photos for the backdrop.
Yeah, exactly. You can take photos anytime during racing, just like everybody else, whatever else. But they have these pre-set up ones with these backdrops that are real life photos, and then they get the lighting and the reflections on the vehicle, and like you can take uncanny photos in Forza Horizon, right? Where you go, you squint and you go, dang, that would pass, right? That would pass for a real car. In Gran Turismo with their Scapes mode, look, that's what people post all the time to do comparison shots because of how realistic it looks. Like the full details are on, ray tracing's on, right? Every single detail of the car is at its highest quality in that mode. They look incredible. But this took it even up to another level, because man, they started going through all the options, and they kept saying a professional photographer would have a hard time creating this shot. And what they created out of some of those photos, absolutely awesome. They kind of went into the online stuff. It looks like they're definitely beefing up the online playability of this one. You even got a couch co-op split screen, or I should say a couch split screen. That's kind of cool. I ain't gonna lie, not that I have anybody here to play with, because my wife ain't gonna sit down with me. But at the end of the day, for the people that do sit down with their friends and be able to split screen Gran Turismo, pretty dang cool. I take that every day. I definitely think that this got my excitement for the eventuality when I do get a PlayStation 5 that I would pick up Gran Turismo 7 along with it. At this point, before I probably would have told you, nah, I don't need it. now that I've seen all this, now that I've seen what they've done with it, the whole menu screen with all the different places you can kind of go and different things you can do, I definitely would be inclined to pick Gran Turismo 7 up and fool around with it for sure. Because I think it does look like a lot better experience, more complete experience than probably the past 3-4 Gran Turismos. I think this is probably going to be their best one in a long time. So I really liked it. I can't wait. I mean, I'm really excited to see what Forza Motorsport brings this year. Now that they've seen what Gran Turismo is bringing, we still got about 10 more months to go. Obviously, again, competition pushes. I know it's cross-gen. I know it's not going to be, I know Forza Motorsport is already going to look a lot better being, well, what we think is current gen only. There's some rumors that it could happen to be cross-gen, but I think this pushes turn 10 a little bit more. And I hope they do look at that side and go, oh, Gran Turismo is doing some things. Maybe we need to look at some of the things they're doing and kind of see if we can implement something like it on our side. Because I think there are some things they could take from Gran Turismo and Polyphony and bring into Forza to make it that much better. So excited, man. Excited. I'm glad. I'm happy. Again, as an old school fan of Gran Turismo, I'm excited that Polyphony has seemingly upped their game
taking a step
bit, finally.
up. Yeah. This is like since 4. This is for me what feels like the first real next Gran Turismo game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it seems to me. 5, 6, Sport, Prologue, all those things. Like, I mean, not that they were like horrible. I mean, they were still good games, right?
Sure.
But they didn't seem like that real evolution for me for Gran Turismo. And I think this is finally we're seeing that, and I'm hoping we see that with Forza Motorsport as well, because Forza's been king, right? And I think because Gran Turismo is going to bring it here, I think it's going to be interesting if Forza Motorsport does drop this year. What have they been spending those years on? Right? Because Forza Motorsport's always been a 2-year turnaround game. This is the first time ever we've had a long extended period without a Forza Motorsport. So I'm really curious how they're bringing it with this, and I think they're going to go big on this game because I think they're going to treat it as a platform.
Correct. Yeah, it's good. I was just about to say that's going to be the interesting part, that obviously Gran Turismo is just a standalone versus what we think Motorsport is going for, which is going to be a live service game, which is going to be ongoing expansions and cars and all that kind of stuff. So it will be very interesting to see the differences and how they approach it. But
on the Gran Turismo trailer, they did say also on more cars and locations to come as well. So we'll see if that's just going to be paid for DLC or how they're going to implement that.
I imagine it's probably paid DLC. But again, with how many, again, this is like the most locations that I've seen Gran Turismo have, I think, ever. I gotta say 30 plus what they say, over 400 cars right out the gate. That's pretty impressive stuff.
What if you got that stuff for free as a Spartacus member?
That would be right. Exactly. Those are the things. That's great, man, to bring that up, because that's what we've been talking about with Spartacus. Again, you got to think about the advantages that somebody does have and what they could offer in Spartacus that would keep their customers coming back for more. And that's one of them. You're absolutely correct, man. Offer that DLC in there. Heck yeah. Yep. A lot of Gran Turismo fans out there, man. Lot.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, I thought that was great. So,
awesome. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm happy too. Again, I don't, like I said, I'm not a Gran Turismo hater. It's just that they just seem to kind of,
they haven't brought it at all,
Yeah, like you said, what do they do all these years that it takes them to bring it out, and then they bring it out and it's like, oh, you guys really didn't do anything.
It almost seems like it
looks like you took some away.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Right. It's like, hey, it looks a little bit prettier than the last game.
Yeah,
but you took all these modes I liked away.
Right.
It's not a fair trade-off, So.
Exactly. No, I agree. Mav, your thoughts on Ghostwire Tokyo and Tango? What'd you think, man?
Man, I think Tango Gameworks needs to make a Scarlet Witch game.
Ooh. Of course you'd go Marvel with it.
I'm sorry.
Can we not do Marvel stuff, please?
After I'm watching the guy walk around and his hands do all this stuff with like intertwining like galactic beams of like interdimensional webs with his
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Ghostbuster beams.
Yeah, whatever the hell, he's like, and then like the ghost like explodes, it's like I want the dude, I was looking at that, I was like, oh my god, we need to get the Scarlet Witch license on here, because you could just imagine her going around and doing all this shit and being wow, that would be amazing. However, no, for real though, it looked impressive, dude. Like again, another one of these studios that was part of this acquisition was Max Bethesda that's just kind of overlooked, right? You know, and we know they had this game Ghostwire Tokyo coming. Nobody's seen anything from it for a while, and this is the first real gameplay look that we've had at it, dude. Yeah. It's one thing I love about this, man. There's nothing out there like it.
Nope.
This is a completely unique, original creation, and it's going to be an Xbox IP in the future, right? Like it is. I mean, even if they have to release it on PlayStation exclusively. But like they're getting this as another new IP, Ghostwire Tokyo, right? Out of all the new IP creations they've been having, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, all these things. This looks like they got a potential hit on their hands and something that's going to be potentially absolutely loved by PlayStation gamers this year, and then next year by Xbox, and in the future by Xbox, right? So man, I think I was impressed. I was not expecting, honestly, what I saw on that trailer. I wasn't expecting to be like that level of impressed. It's right. It's amazing. I think that that's gonna be a huge get, because that's a Japanese studio as well, right? That's gonna bring out a different variety and flavor of games that people are used to seeing on the Xbox platform in the future. I want to know what this other project is from the Evil Within 2 developer or creative director John Johannes, that is working on their next project as well, because they do have another project in the works. Yeah, dude, just these studios are nailing it right now, man. There's so much good stuff, so many good games, and like the ones that you were like, I'm on the fence about. Sometimes they come out and they show you stuff like this and they just blow you away. Right. It's super colorful, original. Very stylized, looks like it's gonna be fun. This is one Ghost game you might be able to play, Pong.
I can play this. I can play this for sure. I can already tell you I can, because you have powers and you have abilities to destroy things like quickly. And like I was going to use the exact same word. Stylized is the first thing I thought about. It is unique. It is wacky. It is crazy. But it is utterly, it's fascinating to me to see what they did over there. I just love the idea of what they bring to the spirit world, especially. Obviously, they have different culture when it comes to spirits and ghosts and all that kind of stuff. We've seen that in movies. We've seen that, throughout gaming.
Ring.
The Grudge, exactly. We've seen that throughout gaming and all that kind of stuff. But to see it in this form with a unique way of presenting it, I just love that. I love the traversal, all the aspects of all the different leveling aspects. Your powers seem to really grow. Like you can get like you were saying, man, some of those things he was casting or whatever he was doing was pretty insane, man. There's a lot going on the screen at one time, which I love to see. So yeah, Tango is definitely one to watch out for. Like you said, they've been, there are other projects, and then we talked about it, Mav. They just brought the Bayonetta 3 director over from Platinum, now working at Tango Gameworks as well. So
Gameworks.
Is that
they're going to be the new gang warfare game coming out next year from Tango Gameworks.
But curious to see how many projects they might have going, because what have we seen, Matt? We don't hear a lot from Tango because there's a small company on the, small dev team on the other side of the ocean. And we're so focused on all the other ones, right? What have they been doing over there? All we've seen from all the other devs that Microsoft has brought underneath the umbrella they're all growing. So has Tango been over there quietly growing their team? And do we all of a sudden have a dev that can pump out or start, be making at the same time 2-3 titles, right? And it could be in different genres. So that's what's exciting to me, because obviously they are going to pull talent on that side of the world, which we just don't see a lot of in the Xbox ecosystem. So just see what comes out of Tango is going to give us a different kind of feel, which I love. So I can't wait to see more about this. Ghostwire is definitely on my radar. It always has been from the moment I saw it. But now, especially seeing this, like I said, I want to go back and watch it in 4K and really get a good look at it. But it looks absolutely fantastic. And next year, again, just like Deathloop this year, next year we'll have it on Game Pass. So, you know what? It's beautiful. We got plenty to play this year. Next spring, nice drop of Ghostwire Tokyo. I'll be a happy camper next spring as well. So that's pretty cool. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I was going to bring up one last thing. I was going to go through, and I just lost it, of course, because my computer decided to.
Dying Light 2 reviews?
No, not Dying Light 2 reviews. Although we could talk about that real quick too.
Yeah, we can touch on it at the end.
Yeah, we could touch it. We could touch on it too. I was gonna find Benji sales. Shout out to Benji. Yeah, real quick, Matt, real quick, and then we'll dive into some Dying Light 2 review talk real quick, and then we'll get everybody out of here so we can go eat and then get
actually play
some Dying Light 2. Yes, take a trip. Benji put up this post. There's currently 6 PlayStation console exclusives scheduled to release in the next 4 months. Shout out to my brother Steele for being in my DMs and going, that's a little. Xbox used to say those words and people used to get down on them because when you say that, you're trying to say that it's console only when a lot of these are going to be on PC day one, right? Yeah. So there's some questions. But anyways, it's Benji. He's a nice guy. I don't think he meant anything by it really, but got to be careful with that stuff because it does give the impression these are console only. And there's, more than half are going to be PC day one. So, but anyways, I just thought this was a really good lineup and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So, over the next 4 months, they get Sifu February 8th.
Yep.
Horizon Forbidden West February 18th.
Yep.
Babylon's Fall, which is the good one, not the Final Fantasy or Origins one. This is Babylon's Fall, the one that looks good from Platinum Games on March 3rd. Then we get Gran Turismo 7 March 4th, Ghostwire Tokyo March 25th, and Forspoken on May 24th. How impressive is that, man?
Super impressive, man. I mean, you got lots to play, that's what it's all about, right? And I think that the last not having anything the last several months, right, of last year was not really a big deal, like as far as overall. I mean, they did have a bit of a drought because they had stuff early last year, but this is finally starting to enter that wave of content for them, right, of more consistent drops. So we'll see. Like, I think they got God of War hopefully still launching at the end of this year as well.
I think they bookend it.
Sure. So I think it's going to be a good year for PlayStation releases, dude, and it's awesome to see. I hope they can get the stock, get them stocked up more, right? Because that's the one thing holding it back. I think they even lowered their forecast of console sales because of availability issues, which is not promising at all, right? When they start forecasting that we're going to sell less because we're not able to make enough, right? That means that it's not what they hoped it would be as far as the amount of consoles they're able to push out. And so as far as that goes, that's the only thing that kind of sucks, which means it's still going to be short supply and it's going to be hard to get with all these great games finally dropping, right? So for me, again, like if you're patient, you'll be rewarded greatly. At the end of the day, you'll have all these great games to play. I think all of these are. Was Sifu, is that single player or co-op? I think it's single player, right?
Single player.
Sifu single player. Babylon's Fall, is that co-op or single player?
I believe that's co-op. I'll look it up real quick. So
I'm trying to see if anything here is like for the people that aren't able to get one. Is if they're gonna miss out on the train of multiplayer fun, you know what I mean? Like that can happen with these games. Like the single player games, you can always go back and play them when they're cheaper, right? And have a blast. So, but it seems like most of these are single player games, right? And again, that goes to the variety thing. I'm glad they're starting to get into more variety, and there's like live service games and stuff, but. Good lineup though, dude.
It's a great lineup. I'm pretty impressed when you lay it out in paper, and they still have like Stray Stray was still supposed to become dude, which looks awesome. I don't care what anybody says. Looks freaking amazing.
They got We Are OFK, your game of the year candidate's probably hitting this year, right?
Look, I mean that's we don't even talk about it because it's beyond talking about, right? It's so big and it's so epic that it's just going to be an experience when it actually drops on.
Are you going to sing along when you're playing, you think?
I think so.
Is that a joy? Just pure joy and excitement?
I hope they give us the option to actually have lyrics on screen, kind of like Spotify.
Yeah, like a little karaoke mode.
Yeah. Would that be sweet?
I can see you now, Pong. You're playing the game. One of the songs comes on, and you just stand up out of your chair and you start jumping up and down just to sing along with the song. It's gonna be amazing. I know you're pumped, and you can also blow and sing into the microphone on the controller. Ooh. Maybe they will be able to register that. Like
I bet you they do.
Input.
I bet you they do. Oh, brother, you just came up with $1 million idea.
You can live your indie pop band dreams.
You need to go buy the clothes.
You do kind of look like George Michael a little bit,
You and that
Wham,
So funny. It was so funny when you thought I had an earring. Oh my god, that was classic. Oh my god. Anyways,
you did.
Babylon. I know
so
you thought
like
it.
You thought it. Like you had that earring.
It's so funny. I should just do it. My holes are still open.
Did you see what it looked like on the screen? It looked
I looked at it. No, I don't deny like real quick. Like if I was in that mode where I was thinking about something like that. Yeah, no, I knew why you saw that. My holes are still. Great. I could probably still re-pierce. I
used to have my ears pierced too. I got holes.
Yeah,
I have 2 holes.
I had 2 in 1. I had 2 in 1. Pause.
Did you?
Okay. Yeah. Babylon's Fall is 4-player co-op multiplayer.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting experience. Hopefully people get it. Hopefully it turns out good. Again, we don't know. It's Platinum Games, hit or miss sometimes. They've been on a better roll. That one actually looks good. That's the game again that people confuse with the Final Fantasy origin story. The two kind of look similar, but the Final Fantasy origin story is by the Ninja
the Ninja?
Yeah, the Ninja. By what's the team? Why was it? Team Ninja. Thank you. Team Ninja. Thank you. God damn, man. Yeah, Team Ninja. That's the one that's doing the Final Fantasy Origins one, which is not. I played the demo. Look, if they fix it, they fix it. I played the demo.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the one that looks like a PS2 games at times. Like, I'm not even messing around. Like, there's some parts where it's like, yo, what generation are we in on this one? This is actually the better one. So I hope this one turns out good because it does look good. Every time I saw this one definitely got better and better the more I saw it. So hopefully it turns out well, and hopefully they got a nice multiplayer game over there on PlayStation. But yeah, great lineup for the spring. Really solid. Again, Horizon is going to probably, by all accounts, from what we've been seeing, it's probably going to blow away Metacritic. So I imagine low to mid 90s on Horizon. I would not doubt it. Now, could there be issues? Could the story suck? Something where it drops it? Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, we're probably talking a low 90 to mid 90 game in Horizon, probably in the early game of the year conversation.
I think the press is really wanting to give PlayStation a big win right now as well, right? Yeah. And they're going to be like, okay, this next big, they've been waiting for the next God of War, Horizon, Last of Us, like big third-person action adventure style game from PlayStation. This is that next one, and I think they're gonna
pump it up.
Yeah, pump it up quite a bit, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that it's
rightfully so. It looks amazing.
It looks great right now.
Yeah. So it looks amazing. So Forspoken's the only one that's taken a dip, as people have seen it. So it'll be interesting to see when that one comes out, how it hits. That was the one that I was interested in from the beginning. That's the one that I said, hey, if I was gonna go out and buy a PS5, it was gonna be for Forspoken because it looked so freaking cool. As they showed it more, less people are impressed by it. Some people even have said, "Oh boy, that looks rough." I still think it looks fun as all get out. I love the magic in it. I love the effects on screen. Everything I'm seeing says, "Man, you're gonna love this game." So I'm still with it, but I know a lot of people have dropped off of Forspoken. So that's probably the weakest link right now in that lineup so far, which is saying a lot. So Sony's off to a great start, man. What a great week for Sony. So before we get everybody out of here, Mav, Dying Light 2 launches tonight. I was trying to see if it wasn't live before. There was confusing reports that it was going to be live at 6:00 Central Time, but that didn't happen.
That's on PC.
Is that on PC?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I was confusing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
it had a little
still midnight local
in the bottom left corner that it's like a midnight. It says consoles will release midnight at the local time.
Okay. All right. So for everybody who wants to take a trip to New Zealand, feel free. Again, you can do that. And you can play early. But Dying Light 2, Mav, come out. We got embargoes lifted. We got some early impressions. Whoa. I was in our DMs instantaneously as I was going through the reviews because I've been hyped for this game. I've been excited for this game. And again, reviews don't sway me unless they talk about game-breaking bugs or save bugs.
Yeah.
Okay, those are the two things that all the rest. Again, over 200 hours in Cyberpunk, people, no issues. Okay, for me playing the game.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen bugs, I've had problems, but nothing game-breaking. Nothing that said, "Oh man, I can't play this game anymore." Watchdog Legions, 15 hours in, lost about 5 hours of gameplay due to the save bug. That killed my hype for that game. I put it on ice for months and months and months. Still have never really gotten back into it. Mav and I, Psycho, we kind of dropped into it to check out the multiplayer, but I have not gotten back into single player. I was loving the single player when I was playing it. That save bug hit, I was done. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't respect my time. I'm done with you. Okay. So that's what I look for. And I was starting to see in some reviews talking about some bad mission bugs, like really bad mission bugs, and some game save problems. Now it sounds like they're bringing out a patch. The patch already dropped that's supposed to fix the major game save play bugs, which had to do with co-op.
Yeah.
It seems like that's what I'm hearing. ACG did a nice review of it. He didn't give it a final buy or wait or sale because he said it's incomplete because he could not play co-op. Okay. Because of that bug. So I'm hoping that's all fixed. But Mav, I was in the DM saying, ooh, I'm a little worried about this one.
Yeah.
This has not been really mixed. But then you got an Andrew Reiner who's been doing game reviews. I've been reading him since I can remember in Game Informer. The guy's been around for a long time. Drops a 9.5.
That's very high.
Yeah. When I was on Twitter today saying, people, please play Dying Light 2. You need to play Dying Light 2. Again, he's not one for hyperbole. He's given bad scores to games. He's been, from my standpoint, when I've read him, like he's pretty straightforward in his reviews. So he calls it like it is. Mav, what did you think about all this kind of mixed reviews, mixed ups and downs? I think it's sitting at like a 78 right now or something like that.
Yeah, I think most of the negative is based on the bugs and stuff that I've seen.
Yeah.
Right. And rightfully so. But that they also, I remember they said that in a tweet, they said, "We know that some of you have been able to get physical copies early, but we appreciate if everybody waits till the day of and waits for that day one patch because that's the way the game's meant to be played." So I think they knew that there was like going to be some issues without that day one patch. That being said, there's obviously going to still be bugs with this and all that kind of stuff. I'm very tolerant on bugs, honestly, maybe more than most because I know the ambition that these developers are going for. And like with these huge open world games with all this stuff going on, and especially when you implement things like co-op and all these other things, like to have something drop without any bugs is just not realistic, right? It's easier if you do a focused single player experience. For me, those types of games, you almost have no excuse, right? When you get into the big online open world stuff like that, it's like, okay, there's going to be some things and you just hope that they get them all ironed out quickly and they keep updating and all this kind of stuff as we, the players, discover stuff that they never knew about, because once it gets out to the millions, right, you're always going to find more things, so as far as that, I've always been kind of like, nah, it depends on the game, how much ambition there is and all this kind of stuff, right? For this, it seems like a very ambitious game, right? A very big undertaking. And I'm really hopeful that it's not too bad with the bugs, but based on the mixed feedback, I mean, it's not deterring me whatsoever into this game. I still have my hype level the same, for me, it looks like, okay, it's like at that amount with the bugs. If it was bug free, I'm looking at it as probably like in the mid 80s or higher potentially, even with the reviews. So that actually has me excited. I know that they'll get the bugs ironed out over time. They've been very consistent with supporting their games, right? Techland has. Dying Light 1 still got updates and stuff.
Still has been. They just did one right before their launch.
Yeah. So it's very I don't have it's one thing when one of these big ambitious games, if it were to come out, hey, that's it, guys.
Right.
This is it.
That's what you get. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Yeah, okay.
But it's not like that anymore. So,
yeah.
And that's what it takes for these ambitious games. They got to have constant support and development on it and stuff. So I doesn't take my excitement away. Am I probably anticipating experiencing more bugs than I would have hoped for at launch? Yes, probably so. So that's kind of sucks. The other thing interesting was the optimization on next gen consoles.
Oh, that's what I was gonna talk about that, Mav. Yeah, go ahead, because that's a problem.
That's a problem, right? Yeah, that's a big problem. And I don't know. I don't get it. Like, I don't know if that's a coding thing or like, I don't know anything about how a game is made, but I see other games running at like upscaled 4K from 1440p, 60 frames per second, like butter all the time, that have a lot going on, crazy big, all this stuff. And to see this only do 1080 at 60 in performance mode on next gen consoles on Series X, it's like, I don't
Series S is 1080
30. Yeah. I don't understand that, man.
That's the most unacceptable. Like, if there was anything that you were going to fix before launch, that one there should have been the one. That should have been all the focal. I think a lot of this, Mav, and we could be wrong. Again, we just only know what we can read and what we can hear, but we do know there was a time, just even going back a year and a half ago, that there was still some people believing that this game was vaporware.
Yeah.
That Techland was not going to get this game out at all, that they were going to wind up canceling it because of the development hell it was going through. We heard stories about the leadership issues within Techland, people talking about just the work environment, the conditions that they were in over there weren't the best, weren't the most productive. Again, we don't know anything outside of hearsay, but we could take it with a grain of salt and still say, hey, look, it looks like some of that probably was kind of true, because you can probably equate this optimization problem, the resolution and frames not being at an acceptable level for current gen hardware, especially that Series S at 1080 30. Look, 1080 60 is bad on the Series X. It should not be there, but at least it's 60. But 1080 30 on the Series S, come on, man. Come on. That should not happen. We've seen too many other devs push the Series S to extreme limits, even with bigger games, right? So that should not be. But I just think that they probably ran out of time, much like the Cyberpunk team did, because of some of the development hell they were in over there. Again, it's guess, it's just speculation, but I would assume that's kind of what was lost. And then they really got refocused. And we saw, again, I've been praising Techland for all that they've been showing up to this point, and their transparency in that whole series of mini documentaries that they did, giving us a little bit more about the game over and over again. I loved it. Their social media has been off the charts with their responses to people. Techland's been doing some really great things. So it looks like that they got refocused and really got down to business. I think that might have just finally, the sands of time kind of ran out on them and they couldn't get that optimization done. But I'm again, I'm assuming, like we saw with Dying Light 1, they continue to improve it. I can only imagine they've already talked about they're hard at work at patching everything that's kind of wrong with it. So I'm assuming eventually we will get, some kind of patch that fixes the resolution and optimizes the game a little bit better. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm sure we will at some point. Man, we're gonna stream that game tonight. So I guess there's like an hour or two we got to play before we can play co-op, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. We'll be in party
Yeah, we'll be partying.
Mav will be making fun
talking.
of me for taking too long in the first missions. So
probably so. And Kate's gonna play. She might already be playing right now, for all I know. Trying to get that under wraps. But yeah, so stay tuned here. We're gonna take a break and after the show and get a bite to eat or something, and then be back live for some Dying Light 2 tonight.
Steel will be joining us as well. Yep. So yeah, we got a full crew. So we're ready to rock and roll, and hopefully we can get through that first hour or whatever it is. I've heard some people say 2 hours.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think it depends on the speed. I'm gonna try and push through it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's gonna be fun. So yeah, join us back here for that for sure.
Awesome, man. Chat, otherwise, you guys rock. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, chat. You guys have been outrageous, man. 53 likes. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so on your way out. It does help with YouTube. Nobody likes the business side of things. Obviously, Mav and I are not here for the money. But at the end of the day, what we are here for is to get Mav's channel to grow, and that does help. But we love you all for being here. So share this out. If you spread the word, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM is the place to be on Thursday nights. Just love this space, man. This has just been a fantastic time again. It was really great, Mav. We've been talking so much Xbox.
I know, finally.
It's really great, man. It's really great, again, to have Sony.
All they had to do is go spend $3.6 billion.
No, that's why they did it. They said, that PM and the PM,
yeah,
they really need to talk about us. What can we do to get them to talk about us? I know. Let's go buy Bungie for $3.6 billion. And just to clarify, because I forgot to anybody who's still listening, when we talking about Bungie, I said we would kind of if you haven't seen it, there's been a breakdown. So just real quick, the breakdown that came out supposedly is that actually it's a $2.4 billion upfront deal for Bungie, and then Sony has $1.2 billion set aside as expenses for retention for Bungie and their employees. Incentives. It's an incentive for retention, right? So they want to make sure that the talent within Bungie sticks around, and the shareholders get bonuses based upon that and all that kind of stuff. And the shareholders, because it's a private company, is most of the employees, because the employees get shares, right? So that's how the deal breaks down. So Sony just didn't pay 3.6 up front. It was 2.4. And when you say 2.4 billion, that sounds a little bit better, right? That does sound a little bit better. And the 1.2 billion set aside in expenditures as incentives for retention is pretty standard in the industry. I think Hogue Law is actually going to do a video on it about how commonplace that is in all industries, that is part of mergers and acquisitions. Hogue Law is a mergers and acquisition attorney.
I wonder if it's been part of the Xbox ones as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, because obviously, and what's more, what we talk about, most important resource in gaming right now outside of time is talent. So you don't want to go purchase somebody and then have the talent just leave the ship, right? That's not what you want.
Yeah.
So having those bonuses in place is a big deal. But like I said, 2.4 billion, that sounds better, right, than 3.6. Like I said, they overpaid. It's a premium, but I understand why they did. So I just wanted to break that down for everybody.
For example, I want to explain why that's important real quick. Imagine you just bought ZeniMax Bethesda, and Starfield's been in development, right?
Todd Howard leaves,
and then
in the middle of development,
and then immediately after the acquisition goes through, and they get their huge paycheck, Todd Howard and the A team of Bethesda Game Studios, all the 20+ year employees, all leave and form a new game studio.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, you don't want that to happen.
It defeats the purpose of acquisition.
Right, exactly.
Because especially in this industry, the main thing you're picking up outside of IP is the talent.
Yeah.
So, no, for sure. Yeah, that was great. Look, great episode. PM in the PM, episode 13. Mav, let's get everybody out of here, brother. Tell everybody what you got going on coming up this weekend and into next week, and where we can find you, what we can see, what's happening in the kingdom of Mav.
In the kingdom of Mav. Hey, so this was a great show. Everybody, appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much. We may not have a show tomorrow. May have some stuff going on Xbox Ultimate. So I'll hit you guys up after I know for sure. But stay tuned for that. But we will
Dying Light time too.
We will be having a show on Saturday. We have Fun Speculation Podcast. And last week, Mag, middle-aged game guy, was we were lucky enough to be joined by him on that show. And this week,
that was awesome.
We're gonna have a very special FSP as well, because King David is gonna be joining us on FSP. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to have a lot of fun. If you're familiar with him in the community, on Iron Lord's podcast,
who doesn't know King David
and all that stuff.
Seriously,
he's just a great guy, great, and always a ton of fun. So looking forward to that this Saturday, and next week we'll be back with all this fun stuff. But stay tuned for live streams. Fun pops on Wednesdays. This show's on Thursdays. Xbox Ultimate's usually on Fridays. We like to bring lots of variety of content here. We're just like Game Pass or Spartacus. We like to provide you. We're casting a wide net. Hey, you like what we do over here. You're a PlayStation guy. Hey, this whole podcast was about PlayStation this time, pretty much. You know what I mean? No, for real.
Mav's going for 400 plus shows, just like Game Pass has games.
That's I just like it's all we're all about having fun, spreading positivity and fun with gaming and other topics as well on this channel. So appreciate everybody tuning in to everything we do. It means a lot to even see you guys in the chat, hanging out with us, chatting all the time, and game streams as well. Tonight, Dying Light 2, we're gonna have a blast. Pong, tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Yes, sir. I was just clearing my throat. I was almost gonna choke. Look,
oh, jeez.
Pong Soul. Yeah, I know, right? That would have been awful.
Can you guys imagine Pong Soul choking during his outro? That'd be like really awkward and uncomfortable for him.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
People might like it though. Who knows? Anyways, Pong Soul. You can find me there on Xbox and Twitter. You know the drill. Obviously, tomorrow night, like Mav said, we'll see about Xbox Ultimate, and obviously you can catch me here tonight playing some Dying Light 2. I'll probably be on stream with Mav there, talking at least. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing for the next couple days, and then Saturday. You know how it kicks off on Saturday. Living split screen. That's the only thing you need to know in the mornings. Grab your breakfast, do your chores like Mr. Boomstick. It doesn't matter what you got going on Saturday morning. Tune in to my brother from another, Steel Rain, and I, because we're bringing the energy. We're going to have rants. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about all things gaming. Look, Monday alone gave us a 3+ hour show. So get ready, buckle up, Living split screen, all one word, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Drop on in to Living Split Screen, where you get it live, raw and uncut.
And unsnipped.
Unsnipped. Pause. Saturday morning, Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Be there, set your alarms now. Then Saturday night, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. Please drop in there. We're going to have another great show. Fuzzy, myself, and Delilah HD is going to be there. So please drop in Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Just an awesome way to end your Saturday night. Have us on while you're playing vids, man. We just have a good time over there. It's a shorter show, just really cut and dry, dirty. It's just clean. Like, it's fun. It's just great. PTK is awesome. Anyways, that's Saturday night. Sunday, you are going to get an extra dose of myself, because I am going to be on Games Talk Live with the one and only Fonzarelli Gaming. So look for that on Sunday afternoon. I believe that is 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Central Time, Sunday afternoon, over on Fonz's channel. Be there. One-on-one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm already dreading the quiz because I'm terrible when people question. Oh, man, I am high anxiety already, Fonz. Anyways, that's going to be a blast. And then Tuesday, back at it, Xbox Factor podcast. I missed this past week due to work. I should be back this week as usual, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, over on Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick's channel. And then back again Thursday nights, PM in the PM, episode 14 next week. Who the heck knows what's going to happen next week? Every week so far in January has been blockbuster after blockbuster. Yeah. Now we're in February. What the heck is going to happen next?
Well, February top January.
Bro, if that bro, there's a deal bigger than Activision Blizzard, or even two deals that add up to Activision Blizzard. Look out. Look, There's still a lot of smoke going out there. Acquisition season has just started. There's a lot of smoke going around. We even got Jeff Keighley tweeting out about it, which he never does. look, man, I don't care what anybody says. A lot of people out there are like, oh, anybody can throw anything. Guess what? A game's being made and it's going to be released soon.
Yeah.
Look, that's not what this is about. There's a lot of smoke, a lot of rumbling going on. No, nobody knows the details of these big kind of deals. That's why Activision Blizzard came out. They can't. All right. It's against the law. People lose their jobs. Deals could crash. However, that doesn't mean people still don't hint at it to those closest to them, and those rumblings.
Yeah, something that's interesting, or we're hearing that there's going to be a deal go through somewhere.
Correct.
Right. Like they don't have to be specific.
Exactly. They don't have to be specific. Things still happen. The rumblings are felt. And again, when somebody like Jeff Keighley, who doesn't normally get into it, starts tweeting that stuff out, that means that there's more stuff in the works. Again, when we'll see it, who knows? These deals can take a long time, or like the Activision Blizzard deal, can come together real freaking quick.
He did say getting final negotiations on that tweet as well.
Yes,
that was
he did.
Very specific that he said that. So it's interesting, man. Maybe he's just trying to drive hype for Keighley 3.
He could be. That's Keighley too. He's a marketing genius, so whatever. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are talking, a lot of rumbling going on. Who knows what we're going to see next week? Maybe nothing, but maybe a lot. But guess what? Mav and I will be right here on PM and the PM to talk about it. That's for dang sure, because we love doing this. We love all of you. Chat, you all are amazing for the support. And I respect the hell out of all of you. And I love you all. So thank you for coming out and seeing us. PM and the PM, Pong and Mav and the PM. February 3rd, 2022, episode 13 in the books. Thank you all for being here, and we will talk to you real soon. Don't forget, it is the golden age of gaming. So get out there and play what you love what you play. Let nobody kill your hype ever for this industry. Hottest industry going in the entire world. Love you all. Talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.